Hey there, hi there, and welcome in. I am Tappinator. You are the Tappers, and this is just chatting. We're just gonna hang out and chat a little bit. We're gonna get a good friend of our Tony in here, and he's gonna come in and have a good little chat with us. Talk about Bagheera. No bumping the mic. You aggressive kitty cat. You absolute menace to society. All right, handsome. Let's put you over here. There you go. There's more desk space over there for you. So how you guys doing today? You having a good day? I'm having a good day. It is bright, sunny. The wind is blowing. Bagheera is trying to be cuddly today. Well, it's not a cuddle day, Bagheera. I know, buddy. What a handsome boy. I gave him a bath today. I gave him a flea bath because he got a little couple partners with him, couple fleas. But we got that all taken care of, got him cleaned up. They're actually really good and easy about taking baths too. Bagheera just kind of slowly tries to get himself out. Like he doesn't meow or use his claws or anything like that. He's just very slowly, just continually trying to leave the bath. And I'm like, nope, it's bath time. And he just begrudgingly accepts it as I have to move him around a little bit. Coda, you guys have seen Coda on stream before, but Coda is a big fan of just doing a little meow and putting his hand up. He's like, excuse me, end this if you can. All right, let's get in with Tony. Hello.
Hello. The Jonathan?
It is. Oh, why is my camera not working here? Every time.
I am Jonah.
Every time. All right, Bagheera, hold up. My cat is on my shoulder. That's enough of
I
that.
blame the socialists.
You blame the socialists for my camera?
Yeah, I don't know why, but it seems to work.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. All right. No background. Turn on camera. Why? Why, you absolute beast of a computer? All right. I'll be back. Let's close down Discord. Let's open back up Discord. Turn on camera. Huh. Every time. Why do we do this?
I don't know. It's silly.
Voice and video settings. All right. Video.
I want you to be mine again, baby.
Oh, we're getting serenaded.
Uh-huh.
Test video. Camera having issues? Yes, it is. Weird. All right.
To start camera. Enhance.
More camera, more action.
Yeah. Don't be a.
All right, maybe if we just give it a second, it'll load in. What if we toss on a background? Will the background change it? Custom? Ew, no thank you. Huh. Why is this not working? Why is this not being as I want it to be?
You just restarted Discord?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't you have to restart your camera last time?
Oh, I don't want to. Here, I'll unplug it and plug it back in and see how that works. Hey, and I have a background again. Why? Why would I have this? Okay.
Because Jesus loves you.
This I know. There we go. No background. Are we good? Yes.
Yeah.
We have
I'm trying out
succeeded.
new slang to try to blend in so I don't get deported.
Oh yeah, you're going with the religious background. It's not a bad choice.
Yeah. You start blaming socialists and talking about Jesus, and I think you're fine.
They'll accept you. My goodness,
Yeah.
Bagheera is being attentive right now. He's trying to enter my body. How is your day going? Did you go to the gym?
Just got back.
Nice. There we go. There you go.
Just
You go
got
up there.
good lift in. I'm feeling stronger.
Your
than ever.
back still giving you problems?
It's getting better. A little tight. I haven't done legs though, since I heard it. So
Staying tight like a twigger.
Mhm. And it's a bummer because today it's all sunny and everybody's playing sand volleyball, and I'm like, I want to, but I know I'll hurt if I do.
But I will hurt. I will feel the
I like it,
pain.
man.
I've been doing great.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
I got my dentist appointment tomorrow. That's the 14th. So I'll be doing that. And then I got a colonoscopy on the 18th. So get my mouth cleaned and my butt looked at. So
Yep.
as we do, that's what the 30s is about, I guess.
Yep. They
That's how
tell
we
you nice
live in.
butt.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks.
More butt stuff than I expected for 30s.
You know, it gets weirder as you get older. Whatever.
I believe that.
Who am I to judge?
Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yes, I am trying to. I started a new diet that I will stick to until Seaside, which is not.
Seaside, is that a tournament?
Yeah,
Nice.
that'll be
Volleyball?
yeah, the weekend before my birthday.
Ooh.
That's August 12th. So I said it'll be a lot going on during those 2 weeks. Is August 12th to the 14th is the tournament, and then the goes into the next week is August 16th to the 17th is Ren Fair.
I'm excited for the Ren Fair. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I am.
How many people do
hopefully,
you
yes.
have confirmed so far for the Ren Fair?
I think 5. Oh, hold on 1 sec. I've been waiting on this call. I've been looking at new apartments. This guy's been calling me. Sorry.
Of course. Go
Be
for
right
it.
back.
Hilarious. My goodness. The moment we start a call, boom. More important house related stuff. Then again, that is important. Finding a good place to live. What's going on in the world today? Hard to tell. All right, must be a long call. Bagheera, are you just going to eat yourself behind me this whole time? That's gross. I prefer not to hear kitty cat eating themselves, all right? I'm not a big fan of that, but I will give you scritchies. I know you love a good scritchins. Yeah. He's a happy kitty cat. The happiest. Never been happier. I'm excited. I'm going to talk to Tony about the world, the government, forest stuff. Sweet. Do do do. Do 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 do. Let's see what we can do. Quack. Oh, a little duck. That's where we're at right now. We're cricketing. Good joke. What, no one's gonna applaud for me? Oh! Hello. Oh, these ones are locked. Bruh. I like those Discord sounds. Those are fun. Get nitro? I don't need nitro. No, thank you. What am I, a doctor? Some type of quack? What else we got here? Oh, we got games. Roll20. I want to play some D&D. That might be fun. Let's see what type of settings we can mess around with. All right. Default theme. Sweet. Nitro. What's compact look like? Ugh, cramped. We'll go with default. All right, accessibility. Any accessibility issues we can toss on? Always animate. Soundboard debugging. We don't need a debug. Chat. What type of chat functions are we dealing with here? And notifications. I don't really like notifications. No, I don't want to enable. Disable that. Ooh, what's streamer mode? Oh, yeah, I'm enabled my streamer mode. My goodness. Two. Nice. I need to get a new picture for my TikTok, for my Twitch. I like it at the beginning, but I think I want a real artist to do some art for that. I realized I said that, but I didn't have it over here, so you couldn't see it. Hilarious. See this picture. I don't think it's the best one in the world. Bagheera just looking geeked out. It's a kitty cat stream now. I am disappointed that Streamlabs got rid of the Streamlabs music. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. But now they have their own things and you have to pay for them, and I don't like that at all. I liked just the free stuff. And it was all set up. Bagheera's geeked out. He's geeking out. Hi, Deadly. How you doing? We were going to be talking with Tony, but he's on a phone call right now. And then I was looking at Streamlabs music. and they changed stuff. They took away the Streamlabs music app that used to be right here, and they replaced it with these. And they don't really have what I'm looking for. See what I'm like? I like albums. I want just like background music. But there's not like a lot of like good fantasy background music. Or at least if there are, I don't really see what they would be.
Jonah.
Hello.
Is this Jonah?
It is me. How you doing?
Oh. Good. Yeah, I called that guy earlier. He's got this nice house for rent over in West Salem.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm gonna check it out here after we're done.
Ooh, is it a 3-bedroom?
Yep. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, pretty reasonable price.
How much is it, if you don't mind me asking?
21.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Yeah. Not bad, yeah. So wouldn't be horrible. He actually has 2 for rent, which is nice because he said this one might. He said he's got a couple applications for it already. So I want to go see. But the good news is though, is a lot of people I find that are going after these houses. I think a lot of people are broke right now.
Yeah, the majority of people are broke right now.
Because last time when I was looking for a place. I almost pulled the trigger on a few. Like my income, which isn't, not terrible, but it's also not the highest in the world. Like they were like, "Oh man, yours is the greatest by far." I'm like, "Oh, cool."
You're like, "Oh no, that's not what I like to hear." Goodness.
Yeah. You're
like, "I'm the cream of the crop." Uh-oh.
Jesus, I know. America's in shambles.
You know what? I do have to say one thing. I might like Trump's tariff plan, if only for the reason that it might end the high luxury consumerism, where you like get those Italian bags that are all made in China, but they just add one like last little like stitch or embargo on it, and all of a sudden it's like $3,000, but really it's like $20 bag.
Yeah, the Chinese are like, "Fuck you guys."
Okay, we'll sell direct to consumer. Everyone's like, "What? You can't do that. That ruins everything."
Mm-hmm. That would be so crazy because like luxury is like what America and the West in general does.
It's a lot of the Western culture is to be like, I have more.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's our soft power as well. It's like having this name recognition with your things. I mean, it's like Apple versus Huawei.
Yeah, and I don't know who Huawei is, so that's a perfect example.
Yeah. Well, like their phones are, at least from my understanding, like a lot of people that do these things on the phones are saying like they're probably better. Like just because a lot of things that Apple does, their insides might not be better, but they're just quality made better. They look better. Whereas the Huawei phones, they'll look better. They'll have better, newer technology, more quality parts, but they're, a fucking fifth of the price of an Apple. But
which, because Apple just charges you to be part of the Apple family and all integrated to Apple Music and Apple Pay and Apple Photos, and they have their own little conglomerate universe.
And think about how powerful that's why they call it soft power, how powerful that vision is. Mm-hmm. Apple is the most profitable company in the history of the world with so much, and it's all off of name.
Well, I mean, they did have a lot of innovation in the beginning, and they have done a lot of like making it so that being part of the Apple family is actually a benefit, but it's also a trap. The benefit is the trap of Apple. It's too convenient, because then to leave, you have to then break all of that conveniency that's just built in. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do not like that.
I mean, that's how you make yeah, they have innovation, you're right, early on, but I mean, at the moment when they actually started making their money, is literally, people know they're paying more money for even lesser phones than Androids.
Yeah.
But you get to have that name brand. I mean, I was telling you before, what are those bags called? I can't remember the name of them right now, but you can pay like $34,000 to $100,000 for these bags, which is insanity.
No, I mean, I would never pay the price of a car for a bag. That might put me, because even some people be like, oh, 30 grand for a car, that's not too much. If you think about like the expensive cars, that's crazy. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like $100,000, you could buy a house.
And some of those you have to own other bags by them first before you can even purchase them. Like, how stupid.
Having tiers to buy a product is criminal, I would say. It's morally corrupt a little bit, for sure.
And people want to do it. They're got a lot of money. But I think the age of it is starting to fall, though, because I think even the mildly rich people are starting to struggle. And I mean, by mildly rich, I mean like TV producers or lesser known actors, singers that haven't had a hit in a long time. Well, those guys are starting to fall.
I would say you're right. Like they're starting to become what the middle class was for a while. But a lot of things is with like actors, especially, there's so many different like streaming services and products being made all the time. I think that their actual income is a lot less than what people think it is, because we're so used to like the 1990s, like you're a movie star, you're a star. Nowadays, it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy on like 4 seasons of TV. He must be super rich. And he's like, yeah, I made $1 million a year. Which to us is a ton, but if you're like living in LA and doing all the actor stuff, all of a sudden it's not that much.
That's what I mean, though. Is like they're just like minimum wage. Their price never went up. Mm-hmm. These guys, 20 years ago, maybe they're making $500,000, $1 million a year, right? And everyone's like, man, they're rich. I'm like, yeah, I am. And now it's like, yeah, a house in LA costs you fucking $5 million. They're like, wow, I can't buy a house.
Yeah, like, easily.
Yeah, well, you have slightly more money than me now. You can go on a vacation a year. You're welcome.
And that's really all we're asking. That's all the general American people are trying to ask for is like, let me have enough money to buy a house and then go on a vacation once a year. Maybe I'll have to save up for 2 years to buy a vacation so I can support my family. And people are happy with that. People are very happy with that. People can't have it. It doesn't really exist much anymore.
No, like if I want to go on a vacation to Spain, I'm fine saving for a year. But how?
But how? How do I save? How do I save when everything costs so much money?
I just went and bought eggs. They were $8.50 a piece for a carton of eggs. I was like, this is crazy.
Oh, for a dozen? Sorry, you said $8.50 a piece, and I was like, $8 for eggs?
No.
No, that makes sense.
Probably not too far off, though. Yeah, it bothered me. I was like, man.
No, eggs is too much. For sure. I mean, we had the whole bird flu thing, but really, I think it's just an indicator of where our economic status is right now of the world, the individual buying power of the dollar. Because let's be honest, if we're America, if we really wanted to have cheap eggs, we could just buy them from another country and ship them over. We could supplement the supply to meet the demand. Like, we have the economic might to do that type of stuff, but we chose not to. And then we had the whole bird flu incident, which killed millions of chickens, which is unfortunate, but...
Also, I think it's showing just how fucking stupid, like, Trump is. I really don't want to believe, like, okay, so, George Bush, like, they gave him this whole cowboy personality, right? They made him look stupid. I don't believe George Bush is stupid. For a second. I think that, man, I think every person that's sat at the Oval Office has been a fucking genius. Has been absolutely brilliant to a certain extent. They know what they're doing, but in a lot of the stuff they're being trained to do, is how they're going to talk, what kind of demeanor they want to give off. George W. Bush, they did that interview where they're talking to the people who like train politicians and stuff, where he had that like cowboy walk because it was a wartime president. People wanted that kind of, even though it seems silly, people wanted it.
And he's from Texas, right? So people are like, they had it in his mind. He's from the South. Yeah. He should be a cowboy-ish.
Yeah, they did these things intentionally. Trump is the first president where I'm like, I don't think he's smart. I think he's being like handled. I don't think they're training him to do stuff. He's just doing shit.
Well, I would hope if he was a like handled president, if he just had people in his like cabinet telling him what to do and he did it, I still don't think he would make the actions he's making. I fully think that he's in charge of the actions that like get made, other than like writing any of the executive orders or like planning out individual things. But a lot of his like fast fire stuff, I think that's all him. I think that's him tweeting out Truth Social and the rest of the cabinet reacting to his proclamations.
Well, I mean, these guys, they think handling is like a bad term, but it's not. Like people like where I work, the COO, he has an executive assistant. If you email or call, most likely you're going to get his executive assistant, and then she's going to set up meetings or do the things or answer. Or a lot of times she'll even sign in his stead once he tells her, "Yes, sign in it."
Yeah.
Because he's so busy. If you're the president, you should be so busy where you have people that are like, "Hey, this is what this means," and then you go to your experts and say, "Hey, what do you know?
What do we do? What's the best course of action here? What are my
your job
options?"
is the best, but you're picking not the best. You're picking someone that fucking is calling AI A1. Yeah, you're like
Dana White.
Good luck, everybody. Yeah,
terrifying.
You're picking people. The fucking White House correspondent was a trash media.
Also,
person.
hold up. I think we're blowing over the whole Dana White thing real quick, because that whole presentation and that whole talk was all about using AI to teach children as young as first grade up, right? So they're probably kindergarten is included in that. So they want AI to be the foundation of knowledge, the foundation of learning, the foundation of where the children of America learn how to learn. That's scary. That's very scary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that.
No, it's fucking ridiculous. Then I don't know what kind of harm that'll do. And nobody does because we won't know
because we haven't tested. Yeah,
they'll do. It's already happening though. A lot of Gen Z kids are finding in the next Gen. What is it? Alpha.
Gen Alpha is the newest one. Yeah.
Yeah,
and we're about to get another generation here in the next, I think, 4 years or so. So I don't know what they'll be called.
These guys are already like losing a lot of their critical thinking skills. And I'm not trying to be like a boomer mentality, like, oh, you kids don't know what it's like. But it's literally they did the same thing with us. We had to lose critical thinking skills, and then they had to try to put them back into us. And it's like right now it's happening to them, except they're not putting them back. They're letting them use AI, and they're using AI too much to the point
very exclusively.
Yeah. I need you to be able to think when no one's around. When no one tells you what to do. What do I do in this emergency? You tell me.
When you have no electricity, when you're in the moment, when there's a crisis happening, you have to be able to look around, see the environment around you, and then synthesize a response to whatever is happening, whatever stimulus it is. That's difficult to do if you don't have any critical thinking skills.
Yeah, that's part of being a human and being in leadership roles, and But if you're using AI for everything, good lord, it's gonna be scary, man. People are. I don't know. Like honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if we're just witnessing the fall of our country, which would be insane.
I would be unhappy with it. I like America, or at least the America I've lived in so far. I mean, it's treated me well, but I can understand there's a lot of stories out there where a lot of people have not had the prosperity that was promised or delivered at all. Yeah, it's kind of scary thinking about the world's power axis is shifting. And the thing is, when an empire falls, which America is an empire, they never fall softly. No. They never go out with a whisper, or at least not what my history books has told me. You usually go out with a little bit more than a whimper. Yeah, it usually gets pretty violent.
If America starts going down, they're going down swinging. And unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I don't know, depending on your perspective.
Or we're going through transformative times and we'll shift back again.
That is my hope, is that we'll be like, whoa, guys, that we were close to falling. Let's not elect a fucking reality TV show guy again. As a rule.
No America rapist. Just the next 300 years. Oh, all right. We learned once.
Woo, that was close. Yeah, how about let's not start with racism. We won't learn.
Well, because it feeds, a lot of the policies feed on tribalism, on othering, on you're in danger, on fear and disgust. Those are some of the most powerful emotions humanity has. And if you can tap into them and play them like the political elite have been for so long, it's very easy to kind of fall back into those steps. And those steps lead back to authoritarianism almost every time. Because manipulation and deceit for power is bad.
Well, and it's crazy because, you hear all these, there's farmers and manufacturers talking why don't we just have our farms set up new manufacturing plants and have the government subsidize them, and it was in that way we'll have our own. It's that's just socialism, man.
Yep. That's socialism again.
You want the government to subsidize manufacturing in America, cool. But just a while ago, you were all capitalism. That means get your own fucking capital.
That
Figure it out.
means
Richest
get
guy
your own
wins.
building, get your own materials,
Yeah.
get your yeah.
But you want government assistance? Hey, I agree. I think that's way better. If
Well, that's
things
the
that
thing. They want government assistance for the rich and then hardcore capitalism for the poor. That's how it's always been in America. You want the government to pay for the start of an industry, and then you want the industry to make all the profit back and not give any to the government. And that's the thinking. That's the logic fallacy that happens.
Well, because people always think they're the ones that don't need help. There's this guy on TikTok right now. He getting pretty famous for being mad at people for being mean to him. Because he's a Trump supporter, and he knew Trump was going to do these tariffs. He just didn't think the tariffs would affect his business. His business is shipping in. I can't remember what it is exactly, but it's basically hardware for like cars and stuff.
Oh,
from
okay.
China,
Like
and selling
car
them.
parts and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like looking for another distributor from another country, and everyone's like, "What did you think tariffs were?" And he's like, "No, I knew we'd have tariffs. I was okay with that. I knew we'd have that." And they're like, "Okay, so we're okay." Like, what are you mad about, man? Like, he's like, you guys are, his comment, because he made another video where he's like, because I can't believe how cruel some people can be. My family is going to suffer from this. It's like, yeah, dude, but you were okay with like hurting trans people and women and minorities and other businesses. You just didn't think it'd be yours. And you want sympathy?
Well, and the thing is, I'm confused. I'm hearing this third hand anyways. I'm confused about him being like, I know what a tariff is, and then complaining specifically about what a tariff does.
Yeah.
Like, I know that we were going to have tariffs. I didn't know things were going to be more expensive. Who said that? Like, is that what he's kind of going through?
Yeah, and it's crazy because people are like, "Oh yeah, well tariffs, yeah." It's because that's what I have a friend who used to be a friend, he's a lawyer who does that. He's like, "Can someone explain to me why?" Because maybe you guys will understand better if we just call them taxes on foreign companies. And I was like, that. Did I message him back in his fucking own thread? I was like, dude, they're not taxes on foreign companies. They're taxes on our companies, and the company's going to pass those down to us. They're paying.
It's an import tax. That's exactly what a tariff is.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, it's like we're paying the money. What are you talking about? And his whole comment, I'm getting flamed in his fuck because there's another bunch of conservatives. They're like, oh yeah, you know, they're talking about this guy. Oh, found the socialist and shit. And I'm like, I didn't say anything socialist. I just said a fact. Like, we put tariffs on goods, we're paying more. That's just what's happening.
I'm stating truth. Them, how dare you?
Yeah.
Pull pitchforks and torches out.
Like, all right, I feel fuck stupid me, huh? And I don't know. It's wild. Because these guys are...
Well, if we're talking about not only the people who, voted for tariffs and all that stuff, but the specifically like the transphobia and the like diminishing of like the individual power for women that's happened in our recent government, the SAVE Act that is going through House right now or just passed House, where you have to have a form of identification that matches your birth certificate or your passport to be able to vote. That's going to affect like over half of all women in the United States, pretty much all married women, and anybody who's ever changed their name in their life.
And to me, what's the point?
Yeah.
What is the argument for it?
But I think the argument is that they didn't want illegal immigrants voting for president, which they already can't do because that's illegal. And yet here we are. I don't know, man. I don't really fully understand the thought process behind making multiple forms of identification to vote. And what I'm really concerned about is how that's going to affect mail-in state votes like Oregon that we live in. Because we have a mail-in system. I don't know if you can do an ID match with a mail-in system unless you have to like add in a proof copy of whatever identification you're using to your mail-in status. Because that doesn't make sense. Also, I'm not opposed to having a nationalized identification to vote. Sure, whatever. I do think that if you require something, you should at least make it free for the first one. So if you're going to have like, you have to have an ID that so that you can vote, it should also be covered for your driver's license or medical card or passport to get in and out of the country.
Yes, anything that you have to have in order to vote should absolutely be free.
Yeah, voting is a right, not a privilege.
Yeah, otherwise you're putting a tax on it, more tax on it. It's just in another form. You're telling them if you don't have the money, because yeah, what if you're broke? You're like, I can't get my ID. Well, you can't vote.
Yeah.
Sucks, right? And I don't know. I mean, it's. I think America's gonna continue to be like, it's frustrating because even though things are getting bad, and we can see the telltale signs of the lead off to fascism. You know, people are still like, they're still acting like children. There's like stupid liberals. Oh, look at liberals mad, ha ha, orange man bad. I'm like. And the counter argument is always this: is like, do you think I would hate Donald Trump if he was doing a good job?
Yeah, exactly.
Just because he's orange, I don't give a fuck. You can have a spray tan. Like, dude, I'm all for cross dressers. You know, if you want to have fake hair and and get hair transplants and do your orange spray tans and I don't care. I'm accepting of everybody. That's not why people hate him. And it's not because he speaks his mind. It's because he's a racist and a rapist and all the other ists. And also he's ruining our fucking country.
No, there's if he actually had effects, right? If his actions created positive effects for Americans, I would be able to forgive a lot. There's definitely things he's done that I wouldn't forgive at all. But if he was actually making America safer and stronger and increasing our position in the world and making our allies stronger and, improving the power base that we have as America, sweet, whatever. I'm all for it. I'm pro-American. That's not what's happening. He's alienating us from our allies. He's making massive moves against industrial power bases. And he's making it so that our closest allies, like Canada and the EU, are now distrustworthy of us. These aren't things that make us stronger.
No, not at all. And it's wild because like the most like they hate the most educated people. I hate this with I don't want to call them dumb people, but uneducated. They like stats when they're their stats, but they don't like them otherwise. It's insanity. Like, they don't like science, but they like science. They don't know how the fuck their brand new truck works, and that is like what the safety systems are. They don't know how doctors save lives. They bring them to the doctor. They don't know how medications work, but they take them. But then when it comes to stuff like fucking, what do they call them? Taking the jab. It's like, why do you all of a sudden know everything there is to know about vaccines? You're stupid, don't you? Like,
the Facebook researchers who just look up a headline and say, "Hey, this agrees with my current thought process, so it must be true."
That's what I mean. It's like they don't like. There are people like the same people that are taking like high blood pressure medication don't want to take vaccines. And I'm like, what do you know about either one of these things at all? How do you know that? You know what I mean? That this is doing this and this is doing this. Are you stupid? Yeah, you are. I am too. In this scenario, I could not tell you how that pill was made or works or why it does the thing it does. I don't know what vaccines do exactly. They try to explain it, and it's really complicated. And so I'm like, hey, I gotta trust you.
You like, hey, this is your whole job. This is what you've done most of your life trying to become and trying to understand, and you're telling me it's safe. And guess what? I understand that it might not be. Like, that's how science works.
I've taken some college level fucking physics and or chemistry or physics too, but biology, and I'm like, I don't understand at all when they're trying to explain it, and I still don't. But you're telling me the dude that like got his GED is like, all right, let me tell you how vaccines work here. Yeah.
So what they do is they put mercury in babies, and then they're autistic.
Like, Jesus, really? And it bothers me. Like I said, that's the part that bothers me though. Is like, you're so trusting of this, but untrusting of this. You should question all of it then. Then stop taking your high blood pressure medication and fucking have a heart attack and die. Like, you know what I mean? So why are you taking this medication that also doctors and scientists built, these fucking liberal pieces of shit?
People are more than happy to take things that will directly help them. And then if they see something else happening that they don't understand, or somebody more precisely has used fear to dissuade their understanding of, That's when they say, oh, that needs to be taken care of. That needs to be stopped. That's harming people. What I think is misscrewed a lot is that most people don't act out of directed malice. Most people aren't actively trying to make other people harmful. They have an understanding of the world that tells them that the people who take this are being harmed. That's the reason why they are different or othered or end up causing a lot of these diseases. That's how their understanding goes.
Yeah.
And that's the scariest bit, is because they think that they're doing the right thing. And while acting out of good faith for a lot of them, they are causing the progression of misinformation, misscience, and othering of other people.
The problem for me, though, is the absolute arrogance, right? I don't go into, like Joe Rogan's a perfect example of this, right? You ever seen that call where he's having with that lady? Well, he read an article and about monkeys. I can't remember exactly what the science part it was, but this lady called in and she was a, I don't know what the scientific name is, but she's basically that's what her job is. She studies great apes and stuff like that.
Okay.
And she's on the call with them and she's like, yeah, that's not really true. And she's like trying to explain it to him, like kind of what the article is going through. He's like, okay, and you are. And she tells him who she is. He's like, did you read the article, stupid? And she's like, and he goes, yeah, when's the last time you read a new article? Maybe you're not up to on the current day, because I am. And it's like, it just is over aggressive, keeps calling her stupid, that she's dumb, and that she's just trying to speak over him and stuff. And it's insanity, because like if I wanted help like getting a podcast started, sure, I'd ask Joe Rogan. But if I wanted help on science, no, you're a fucking idiot.
Specifically ape science, you're probably going to talk to the ape scientist.
Exactly, the person that specializes. Hey, what do you specialize? Ape science, and what are you? You're a podcaster. I bet you have more answers.
I think I'm going to trust the bald man.
Yeah, and that's the thing is people like Joe Rogan have just empowered these people to speak on things they don't know. You can have an opinion, sure, but you should usually just shut up and listen. You know,
ignorance and confidence usually go hand in hand.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate.
Well, I had a friend when I was in the middle of my before I quit school. We were in our I was in my signals class. One of my buddies was trying to tell me, again, another guy who never graduated high school, trying to tell me how signals work. And I was like, that's not the way they work. I can't remember the exact argument, and I was like, we can go get my book. And he's like, we're talking about. I was like, dude, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but I'm like in the middle of what you were talking about at this moment, and you're wrong. And he refused to believe he was wrong. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. There's a book here. And he's like,
yeah, that's hard. Man? That's hard. A lot of people hear that them being wrong is an attack or a wound on themselves, so they'll just immediately get defensive and try to stop the being wrong. But they don't usually stop the being wrong by becoming right. They stop it by trying to stop whoever is telling them they're wrong.
Yes. Well, you ever hear that? What is it? A lot of anger stems from lack of control.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've lost the control of any conversation. And it's like, just humble yourself. Be like, oh, I didn't know that. Maybe I was wrong. I'm wrong often. And that happens. It's like, but how crazy would it be if you were always right? Because
I would hate it. That'd be the worst. There'd be no chance for growth and learning. There'd be no new surprises. You're always right.
I think it's also people that don't understand the depth of things there are. They never take that extra. They like the shallow end of the pool, and so they're scared of the depth, and so they just imagine it's not there. You know what I mean? Like there's all this knowledge. Like it's like with vaccines again. People think they know the science behind it because they're like, well, this is the basis of it. It's like you're here, baby. You're there is this ocean of knowledge that spreads out far and wide.
What's that observation where when someone starts to learn a new topic, their confidence jumps up until they get to enough of an intermediate stage where they learn that they don't know as much as they thought they did, and then their confidence goes back down until you get back to like an expert in the field, but it never quite hits the same confidence level that you first had. I don't know the name of that, but that's a very documented Dunning-Kruger effect. Exactly. Dunning-Kruger. Yeah. No, that's a perfect example for how most people see science.
It is, and that's what I think these people they think of. I told you when I was in I worked at that restaurant over in Lebanon. People talk shit about engineers all the time, about scientists and shit. Like what was it? I every time I had multiple people tell me we engineer because people ask me, oh, what are you in school for? Oh, I'm being an electrical engineer. So you're the guy that pretends he does the work while we do the real work. And I'm like, yeah, that's me.
That's me. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and like how does that drill work? Like, oh, you press button and it works. That's what you understand. How's that circuit board? But you know what I mean? It's like we're all important.
You're like, yeah, but I understand how a battery holds electricity. Can you explain it to me? Can you explain how the electrons move throughout the metal? I don't think so.
I'm not trying to make you feel stupid because obviously you could make me feel stupid with like how to like I can't fucking build a house. I don't know how that works either. I mean, I assume you do stuff, screw stuff in, but you don't know how the fuck
you
the
gotta
circuit
play
was
good
built
wood
either.
and some nails, and you're like, I think I can do something here.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because it's like, what the fuck, man? And that's literally how these people think. It's like they think we're just fucking around with numbers. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not important. Why are people spending billions of dollars on this to educate people and to make sure they have these new scientists and stuff and engineers all working for them?
Well, one thing I think we need to kind of focus on is regardless of someone's education or their understanding of the world, one thing that we can kind of start working on to get everyone in the same basis is the morality of an issue, whether or not something expands the freedom of an individual, whether or not something helps enhance the ecology around them, or whether or not something is actively damaging to not just yourself, but those around you. If we could get people to look through the world through those type of lenses, so many things would change rather than just like, does it give me money? Yes. Good. No. Bad.
I agree. I think kind of onto that point is like in America, I think we lack a sense of community. That's why it's so easy to say, oh, your job is worthless. Mine's so much important because you need to be important. Well, instead of saying, oh, the scientist is important, the mechanic is important, the janitor is important, the server is important. Because if any one of you stop doing your job, we'd all start fucking feeling it. But also on top of that is also we are so individualistic. It's like our next door neighbor could be starving and not be able to pay their bills, and we'll be like, sucks for you, but I need to survive myself.
Well, not only that, we're so individualistic that the neighbor next door could be starving and we would never know because we don't talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares, right? Oh, they're over there. Their door's always closed. They don't come out. When's the last time you saw people like having picnics outside or in their backyard or inviting people over from like just their base neighborhood? I know you and I make an active effort to try to get you and other people together and have friends over and do a little hosting thing. But I don't think that's super common.
No, it's not. Millennials are very lonely. We don't have our third places anymore. People, there's constantly, people like struggling to find friendships outside of once they leave school and stuff. It is. I mean, I know I hang out with you. I have another friend group that we try to hang out like once a month at least. But sometimes that doesn't happen. It's like, Jesus, it's hard. It is very hard. But we have this whole me mentality. I mean, I was watching this video about China earlier, how they reintegrate their elderly people. Like over there, it's kind of seen as a shame to put your kids in daycare or to put your grandparents in old folks' homes. It's seen as a shame on you. That means you can't hold your family together. So essentially, and I think this is just in some parts of China, but what they do is the parents, they're responsible for helping their oldest their son buy a home, and in return, that oldest son is responsible for taking care of the parents as they get older, and those parents are also responsible for being involved with like the grandkids and taking care of them, planning parties and stuff like that. And so the parents, even as they get older,
it takes a village thought process.
Exactly, yeah. They're still working, like they're not working their jobs anymore, but they're retired at like 50 or 60, which is crazy. Do you know the retirement age is 50 in some parts of China for
really?
Women? Yeah.
Well, isn't that nice? My goodness.
Yeah,
we're at 65, and most people are still working until they're 70.
Yeah, like that's crazy to me. Can you imagine over here if you have a kid, your parents had already helped you buy that house, and they have a house that can fit them. They move in with you, and now you can go to work, and they can they help you take care of your kids and shit.
I mean, that would be great. I also think that I don't think the millennials will have the grandparents that we had as children's, because our parents, which are the boomer generation, is one of the most self-centered, narcissistic generations that kind of ever existed. And a lot of the times they want like all the praise of being grandma without doing any of the work of being like grandma, grandpa. There's a lot of the boomer generation who will take them, do the fun stuff, and then just shuck them off back to the parents, or won't even take them for a whole day.
I'm trying not to be a fucking generation hater, but it is getting harder and harder.
It's the lead poisoning.
Yeah, the boomers are, and now we're seeing this. And by being a hater, I mean like these guys, like how selfish are they, and how conservative are they? Boomers got things and then voted against us having them. In the other way, we didn't have things and voted for the next generation to have them.
Yep.
And then the next generation voted against us.
Yep.
And turned their back on us too. So what the fuck, guys? We suffered, so you wouldn't have to. And
it's
now you're
exactly
like,
the silent generation. The millennials are taking the same spot as the silent generation did for the process. We are in that 80-year, theory gap of how generations go. We're in the same sit as the silent generation. We're trying to make the world better, and the Gen Alpha is going to be coming behind us and being like, thank you for making the world better. None for you, next people. And then they'll be in the same position to try to make the world better.
Yep, because they'll think it was through their hard work. But you're right. I mean, in the next decade, 2 decades, all the boomers will be gone. Mm-hmm. A bunch of the Gen X will be gone. It will be millennials is a huge... We still have a bigger population. We will. Than the Gen Xers, or not Gen Xers, the Gen
Zs. Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
We will be the biggest voting bloc by a wide margin. We'll be all the politicians, all the leadership in America at that point. And we're largely lean blue, lean left on for millennials, and so that'll be the big fight. And we'll probably put in a lot of policies and a lot of things that will make things easier. And you're right. I think Gen Z will be like, "Look what we did.
Look at this, yeah.
Look
how nice the world is."
Good job, guys. We did it.
Well, that's assuming that at no point in the next 30 years that America might go through a fracture, or like any states try to succeed from the Union or join Canada, any of that type of stuff.
I could totally see California doing it.
California could self-sustain as a nation. They could.
Yeah, they could. I don't know. They would be very interesting. I don't think
economically, militarily, no. But economically, they could. The biggest issue would be the military being like, California, you're still the U.S. No choice otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There'd be a big old fight about it. I mean, Texas has been wanting to succeed forever.
They do really like to argue about that type of stuff. Texas, the Lone Star State. I mean, it was at one point its own nation, its own country, and then it reabsorbed into America. So they have a good claim for it, but we'll see if they ever do. I doubt
it. I'm so tired of these. Like, okay, so you like not Kansas. What state is that now? It just is getting rid of their income tax.
Getting rid of your income tax is dangerous. That's very dangerous.
Yeah,
that makes all the rich people go to one area, and then that ruins the funding for schools in whatever area they live in.
Yeah, Kansas did it in like the 70s or 80s, and it fucking destroyed them. And they were like, "Wow, let's not do that again." I think it was Arkansas or someone. Just
Arkansas, yes.
And they're doing it again. Everyone's like, "You didn't learn from fucking Kansas? You didn't watch them destroy themselves and still not fully recover from it?" Okay. Like, how do you think things get paid for? We need better fucking, like, I don't...
The Department of Education has failed the majority of Americans. That doesn't mean we should defund the Department of Education, but I do feel like our base education practices are not enough to have intelligent adults walking around in the nation, in the country, making choices.
I disagree. It's not the Department of Education. People keep blaming the Department of Education. Whose fault it is fucking NIMBYs. It is. They voted not in my backyard.
Oh, okay.
people voted. This is the big problem with America. Is one of our hugest problems is we're so much better than everyone else. We don't want people touching our shit. Is America? We base our school systems on the taxpayers in that certain area. You have poor
Classist,
neighborhoods.
by the
You
way.
have 100% classes because you have poor neighborhoods. You have worse schools, and people are like, "Why is our education man?" This is because you're having poorer and poorer and poorer people. That wage gap is getting bigger. That means we're having worse schools. And like, it's the Department of Education's fault. It's like, no, it's your fault. You voted for this. You wanted this to be the rules, and these are the rules now. If we did it just a general, like, hey, there's a total state pot, schools that need more money will get more money. Everyone gets the same education, we'd be fine, and education would be going up. But no, we got greedy, because if you go to these schools, these private schools, or schools that are in good neighborhoods, those kids are fine. Why? Because you're rich, you're just smarter than these other kids? No. It's because they don't have the tools to do it.
I agree. Also, one of the issues that they take away most extracurricular activities from poor schools immediately. Art, sports, band, music, arts and crafts, any of that creative qualitative type of learning, tactile sensation, they usually gut those for just math and English and whatever else base minimum they need. And if your main effort is to get people to the base minimum, you're not going to get the majority of people to excel that. You're going to probably get a nice little even graph of people hitting the minimum and not very many going above the minimum.
Well, on top of that too,
whereas for like the rich schools and the ones that have extra money and like a golf course on the school grounds or whatever, they don't care about the minimum. They know everyone's going to get the minimum. They're trying to force every kid to excel beyond what the other kids are excelling or compared to the other schools around them. That's the thought process. That's the different in the thought process there. They're not even shooting for the minimum. They know they got it.
Well, and on top of it too, they're not listening to their teachers. The teachers are telling them, "Hey, we need smaller class sizes. We need more. Maybe let's stop. I understand our military is what makes us so strong as a country. It's one of the pillars that makes us so strong. There's got to be funds. Let's tax people a little more. Let's tax the rich people. I pay a little more taxes. I'm not even rich. If we could pay our teachers a little bit better and have more teachers, because teachers are screaming, we need smaller classroom sizes. We need more resources. And then also teachers are like, we need to be paid more. Our good teachers are leaving. What was it, 5 years ago? Like the teacher of the year in Texas left for another state because she wasn't getting paid enough. It's like, hey, you're the best teacher in Texas. She's like, cool, can I have more money? And they're like,
no.
What? Why?
Actually, I could actually go work at Costco and make more money and not have to deal with 45 screaming children. So I think I might do that. I mean, that just makes sense.
Plus your shitty fucking parents yelling at me like it's my fault.
That's the other thing. Most parents don't teach at home anymore. The individual education for your own kids is definitely gone down. I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha will have a much better understanding of that because they are actively in the downfall of the Department of Education. They actively see all that stuff, and they're much more aware on like how computers and screen time affects the brain. So I think they're going to do a very good job with like self-teaching children. But our parents and the parents before us, a lot of their understanding was give it to the schools. I don't have to teach you. It's not my job to teach you. They are getting paid for it. They should do it all.
And that's the other thing that's bothering me right now with I don't mean to rag on fucking.
That's another thing. You know what really grinds my gears?
The older generations, their lack of understanding of technology, and it's a total lack of understanding. They're like, well, I don't want to understand it, and it's like, okay, but you should. Technically from their point, it's usually from like their 30s on. If there's new technology, new things happen, they're like, I don't understand it. I'm like, hey, if you don't understand new music, that's cool. Listen to your same music. But if you don't want to understand AI at this point, you're gonna do yourself a disservice when you get to your 50s. You need to know these things. And a lot of these people, our parents, they're in their 30s when computers and stuff were getting big. It's like you should have taken the time to try to understand them, but you were like, not gonna do it.
It's too hard. It's something new. Oh, I'll figure it out eventually. And then they're 65 going, how do I make my email a PDF? And you're like, this has been around for like 20 years.
Yeah. I don't know
Come
how to
on,
help you
you've
right
done
now.
this. I've done this for you. Just do it yourself. No.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to them being just a very like generation of spoiled. Like we are, I was millennials.
Which all Americans really, if you think about it, all Americans are pretty spoiled. We don't live in an area that's like actively in war. We don't have active famine everywhere, even though we do have people in America that starve to death. But there is active food and water and health for people who need it. It just takes a little bit of effort to go out and get it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, America is a land of opportunity. You do so many things here. I mean, we are definitely spoiled. It just, I think now it's starting to come. We're starting to have to pay the bill now.
Yeah.
Where your houses are getting so expensive, where we're just not keeping up anymore. I mean, and again, it's just it bothers me that it's so simple. Simple things.
Every problem comes down to taxing the rich.
Yeah, they have too much money.
Yeah, every time.
And I don't want to hear any arguments. I don't want to hear any. This is no longer a fucking economics issue. It's an ethics issue. Hey, people are sleeping in the streets and dying, in America, the richest country in the world.
Typhoid and whatever else.
And you're building your own fucking spaceships and having super yachts. And honestly, I don't care if you spend money on that stuff, but fucking spend it. And stay out of politics. That should be completely illegal. Them being able to, it is not, if Elon Musk can spend $290 million on an election, me and him don't have the same vote.
No.
We just don't.
You don't.
Our votes aren't 1-to-1. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Well, when Obama made it so that funding is freedom of speech, he drastically altered the fabric of American democracy so that whoever had the biggest bank account can dictate what happens with America. And that was a massive upheaval because that's not how it always used to be. The super PACs, the crowdfunding, the getting ExxonMobil to spend $1 million, $10 million to put up ads everywhere. That's not how it used to be. That's a recent development, like the last 30 years.
And that's why I hate all presidents. They're all evil. Just what level of it?
Well, yeah, no, I agree. There are definitely people who have been born into the rich class that we have in the world, which I'm not going to, depose them for the fate of their birth. So be it. But I do feel like when you do have enough money, you should reinvest into at least your local environment, into your local ecosystem, and try to improve the lives of the people around you rather than just having, I have the biggest bank account.
Yeah, and it's insane greed.
We were talking about the education system, right? And smaller class sizes. If we go back to our conversation about Dana White, do you think that AI would be a viable solution to our teacher crisis, to the understanding of you could have an individual teacher per student and it'd be AI that would grow and develop with them as they learn and understand new topics?
The hard part is we don't know. Maybe not. AI could be the best thing that ever happens to the human race, right? It could be the ultimate tool to fix all these problems, right? It could be your therapist, it could be your doctor, it could be your teacher, it could be your accountant. You're like, holy shit, this thing is good enough to do something. Or it could be the downfall of fucking humanity if we all get reliant on it. It's like, whoa. Because you never know how things are going to affect people until we use it. It'll take decades.
And it could be both, honestly. It could do exactly everything you're talking about. It could be your doctor all the way down to your priest and help inform every decision in your life. But is that not a cage? Is that not a cage you build yourself?
That's not what I was getting at, though, is even if it is a cage, like what I'm saying, though, is we may not, as humans, be able to learn from it like we think we are, right? We may not be able to absorb information the way we think we are. So if we're using it to teach kids and there is a piece of it missing that humanity, only humans can give them, you know what I mean? And we're using that to teach them, and then 10 years from now we find out, we're like, oh, you don't know how to do this. you don't know. You're not good at human interaction. You're not good at whatever it is we're missing
Well,
from the
we're already
piece.
seeing a massive issue with people and human interaction. The small form communication between individuals does break down when you're hitting like 12th grade and below, because a lot of it is kids yelling, "Hey chat," or they're running the memes, or they're always performative, because a lot of their consumption of media is performative media. It is people with a script, with an ideology, with something already pre-planned. So even when they're going about their daily activities, they're subconsciously performing for the camera of everybody else around them. And that's drastically shaping the socio like atmosphere of our children today. So I can only imagine that be exponentially exasperated by AI.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as it I said, you just don't know what the fuck we're gonna. Like I said, it's I like AI. I do. I love it as much as the next person. I think it's gonna be great. But I think caution is always best, and we're throwing caution to the wind right now. We're putting it. People are using it every day, asking questions. I told you. I had a friend who was she was negotiating a contract, and she brought me in to help her with the contract, right? And I was having her tell me about the guy and stuff like that, and we were talking, and I was like, I think, in my opinion, you should ask for a lower price. And it was this whole thing because I talked to the guy as well, and I was like, I think they're they want to test you out first, and I think if you go lower, get them that, and then say, hey, this is my value, Anyways, that was a negotiating process. And she said, I think that's a good idea. I think that's what I'll do. She sent me the letter, so she was going to send them, and thing, and she was going to send it off. And the next morning, she tells me, I was like, oh, how did it go? She's like, I just sent them a really high price because I went and asked ChatGPT, and they told me they think, and she showed me what ChatGPT spit out to her. I'm like, ChatGPT doesn't know human emotion. It's telling you fact. It's telling you, well, if you don't set out this price, I'm like, yeah, I know that too. If you don't start with this price in certain situations, you have to set a precedent for them. I get that. But with this guy's case, I think he's trying to test you. And that's why we agreed that he's a lower one. And then she ended up not getting it. Yeah, there's no nuance. You're right. There's no human nuance to it. And she ended up not getting it. And it was a really big deal for her. And she ended up, and it was and she was like, I shouldn't have fucking used that. And I'm like, yeah, me and
You're like, yeah, you shouldn't have. You asked me, I did a whole bunch of work, and you still said, hey, ChatGPT, do my thinking for me.
Yeah. I'm not telling you I'm the smartest guy ever, but I was like, yeah, we both talked about it and agreed that, like, I think this is the way. And then you went and asked a robot. And
that's where I think the technocratic theocracy is being built. That's where I think the AI religion is happening, where people will be happy to give the power of decision making off to somebody else. I mean, we already see that nowadays with people being heavily reliant on, let me Google the answer. Oh, let me get all these instructions, which is fine, normal. But a lot of people don't like holding the weight of choice on their shoulders. And they are very happy to have somebody else take that weight off of them. And I think that's going to be AI.
Yeah. Hey, what should I do in this situation? But not only that, though, too, is if you believe immediately ChatGPT on all things, now someone has complete control over you.
Yep.
You can't use it as law because,
Which some lawyers are. Did you hear about that? The lawyers that are using ChatGPT to write legal briefs?
No, but that's so stupid.
Yep. They are fully citing ChatGPT as legal brief and argument and decision making and understanding like the nuance of multiple case laws, which means that that's going to be put into case law, which then is going to be referenced by ChatGPT, which will reciprocal truth check itself. And that's
Think about it. There's no way you're not learning how to parse data yourself. You're not learning to, hey, I'm going to read this. Oh, that's what that means. And that's what I mean by ChatGPT teaching kids is what is teaching, right? It's because like for me and for you and for everybody, teaching is different, right? Mm-hmm. If I go into and I read a book, I have to like sit back and I'm like, all right, fuck, what the fuck does that mean? And I go back and then I think about it again. And my way of thinking about it, it's the same way as like when you add things, right? Me and you may not add things the same. When I say what is fucking 12 plus, 20, we may not add it the same way. ChatGPT doesn't understand that. It just understands this is the way. And so we're not learning how things affect us differently. And so I am worried that ChatGPT and just AI in general is going to take those things away from us. And that's what makes us human. What makes us gives us our own, different personality and vitality is our differences in how we view
Our
data.
perspective of life, yeah.
Yeah. And also, because that's why they don't like I think standardized testing is stupid. It's one of the biggest
I
things
agree.
against it. And we're gonna.
I think one of the biggest disservices of the Department of Education was the No Child Left Behind Act, where regardless of how bad a child is doing, they still get pushed on to the next grade, which means you are just building a foundation on shakier and shakier foundations until you can just push them out of high school. And then you go, figure it out. Go ahead. Go become a worker. Go do your best or not. Who cares? You're out of our problem. I think having it so that you force the foundations and reiterate the foundations until they're able to execute, multiple times, not on just like one specific situation, that they understand the concept of the teachings. That's what you need for education, not good job. You answered C.
Well, it's also like, where do you play to your strengths, right? Because do you remember we were in that physics class and they kept switching. Like each week they would switch us groups.
Mm-hmm.
I was with one group where I was essentially doing everything. Like all the guys that I wasn't studying. I was another group where I ended up with Becca, like someone else, and I was just not helping. And then the next week, it was me, you, and Steven. And all of us, like I think we're all smart, but we weren't like, I don't think any of us, like we all agree, weren't like Becca or even Dale or Gareth smart, those guys.
Yeah.
But I remember that week we were the first done by like a wide margin.
Well, because we're all the facilitators.
Yeah. We're like, hey, let's all figure this out. You do this, I'll do this. And we worked well together when no one was above or below each other. And it was just, worked very well.
And the thing is, I noticed that the three of us were really good at getting other people to work and communicating that, all right, this is the next process, this is the next step. All right, this is the problem we're working on right now. Whereas a lot of times, especially in physics, you have people who are like, oh, I'll just do it. And then they're working by themselves, basically. Or you have the people who got into physics and they're like, I shouldn't be here. And they were just like, I guess somebody else will do it. And then all of a sudden, no one's working or doing anything together. But when we have the people like us together who could be like, oh, hey, hang out, have a good time, work as we're doing stuff, it goes a lot quicker. That's the facilitation. That's the human interaction.
100%. And I think those are things that get missed by, you're not going to find those kind of skills on a standardized single person test. Because when we're trying, like if I wanted to get the project done, and it's not good or bad, the same thing happened to me in that math class. I was at the table with Garrett, same people, Garrett, Dale, and Becca. And they were killing me. I wasn't getting nothing. I was learning nothing. It wasn't until one week I was like, guys, I have to leave this table. I went to another table with one of my buddies, him and a bunch of other people. And immediately I felt so much better because at that table, they would just do it. But okay, I'm done. Everybody else done? I'm looking around like, I'm not even close.
Like, I barely started. What are you talking about? Done?
I go to this other table and the first thing they said is like, all right, guys, how do we do this? And I'm like, this is my table. How did we do this, guys? And we talked it out. Nobody was like so far ahead of each other. And I ended up learning a lot. And the table, like, we weren't like that far behind like the Becca Garrett table, but it was basically, we're like, we're not as smart as you, but boy, can we communicate.
The power of many, right?
Yes.
When the group works together, that's where success is found.
Yeah, and it wasn't that, I don't want to like say Becca and Garrett did not communicate. They communicated well with each other. They were just so much smarter than the rest of us that I'm like, you're not communicating well with me. I'm too silly for this.
I think that's a great example of the kind of situation we're at, where we have a lot of people who work well together and they're insular. But unfortunately, there's a lot of like anger and hatred that has popped into that. So they think anybody who is of the intelligence, like to just kind of see a problem and see the solution to it without explaining their work, the explain the work is important here. I think that they see that as being like, oh, you're an intellectual. You're one of them college folks. You're an asshole. You think you're better than me. I think that's what a lot of it is, especially with the people who want to defund the education Department of Education. Which, by the way, if you're for defunding the Department of Education, you are anti kids with IEP, you're anti special needs kids, you're anti people who need extra help to get to the same level that the very intelligent kids are able to get to on their own.
Yeah, you're a terrible person.
Well, because that's where the Department of Education Fed money went to a lot of the times, was specifically to special needs kids.
Yeah, and I'm sick of at this point. There's another thing.
And another one.
I am sick of gentle parenting people and saying, "Well, they didn't know." I'm like, if you're voting on things, fucking know.
Google at least.
If you're gonna say the information is out there, if you're gonna say, "Well, I want the Department of Education gone," and
why?
Your excuse after I'm telling you, "Hey, this is gonna hurt kids with disabilities, both mental and physical," and you're like, "Well, I don't want that." Why did you say you wanted it then?
Mm-hmm.
You're an adult. Look it up. Like, and not only that, because people are telling you, we're telling you, hey, this is what's going to happen. People were talking about, hey, Project 2025, baby. And they're like, it's involved. And now that, farmers are getting hurt and these small businesses in these Republican states are getting hurt, they're like, well, what, I didn't know. And like, okay, I'm done with you being a fucking child. Grow up.
The I don't know excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse for malice, right?
No.
Just because you don't know something doesn't mean that your actions against somebody is excusable. It's the exact same thought process for somebody who'd be like, I don't think people on Snap deserve ice cream and steak. And then you look at them and you go, so you don't think I deserve ice cream and steak? And they go, well, not you, because you're an individual. They're thinking of just like the group as a whole. And they don't see them as people. They just see them as an object of discussion or an object to be hated. That's the other. But if you stand in front of them and say, me specifically, I don't deserve to have a steak every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
They'll change their tune.
Where I play volleyball, there's 5 or 6 guys that come there semi-regularly that are everyone loves, that are all, from Mexico, speak that. But then I have people also in that group that love those guys, that know them by name of, barbecued together and stuff, that will share shit on Facebook talking about, rapists and drug dealers. Like, this is what you think of Mexican immigrants? Like, or
that's your friend that you're talking about right now. Yeah.
Most of them are like Tenno. He's paying taxes but getting no benefits. Yeah. These guys are firefighters and roofers and fucking gardeners and, and they have families here and you know their families. You went to this guy's wedding. But you still hate in general, not them obviously, but the rest of them. Oh, my family, the soccer mom,
exactly.
Those guys, they're rapists. Come on.
Did you hear that the IRS is now working with ICE to give the identification numbers of illegal migrants or migrants without social security numbers and their home addresses?
Fuck ICE and IHS and fucking.
And then I think it was, did Trump sign the executive order or was it just a mandate that ICE said that all immigrants need to have their fingerprints done within 30 days? Otherwise, they might be in breach of processing. Like that's even like work visa. That's anybody over here that's just not a legal citizen.
It's getting scarier and scarier to me to a point. These guys are. At what point do civilians start hitting people? Right?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. We're getting closer and closer though, because now they're legit taking people and putting them in camps. And the last guy was an American citizen. He was a part of a union. He had a family, and they just took him.
Yeah. What was that? The Supreme Court just ruled 9-0 that Trump's administration has to help facilitate the release of what's his name, the El Salvador guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name right now, but the Trump administration is responding to that by being like, well, the court said we had to facilitate his release, not execute his release. So facilitation can mean anything. They're doing a big that word specifically, shrug. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah, we're playing semantics here. It's like, oh yeah.
I think he might be dead. Honestly,
I think so. I watched a video earlier that the people were like, well, they're saying they're constantly putting people there, but they're constantly saying it's also full. People are going somewhere, man. Yep. Something's happening. We're either losing them or they're dead. And that's just my point is at what point if someone is if they're like, hey, Jonah Tapp, we don't think we think you're a illegal immigrant here. We're going to take you. At what point, because of what the precedent they just set, is that this guy may be dead, maybe missing. He's been gone for how long? We don't know. And they took him to an El Salvador, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to deport you." And then, but in most cases, in 10 years ago, America, you could say, "Hey, they're gonna hold them." They know we know they will ship them to El Salvador. We know with proper documents we'll get them back.
In this exact situation is why the Second Amendment exists, right? If you have a group of men come in an unmarked van, jump out, and they're not wearing any identification, they don't have any badges on them, and they're not telling you anything, and they just try to take you, that's kidnapping. That's assault. That's taking somebody. That's something you should be allowed to defend yourself against. Mm-hmm. But I bet you that if anybody ever pulls on ICE agents and they don't know that they're ICE, all of a sudden it won't matter that they're plainclothes cops. It won't matter that they came in at 2 a.m. It'll only matter like he killed a cop, so obviously he's the evil immigrant that we've always been talking about. Mm-hmm. That's what it's going to be. It won't matter.
Yep, the rapists and the drug dealers. And that's the hard part with these dumb fucks, is they're so easily fooled. They have everybody thinking these are rapists and drug dealers. It's like, who are you? Are you out of your mind? Like that's what you think? That's like someone saying, America, all there are fucking Klansmen. We got a lot of them.
We got some. But see, that's the thing is, I don't think anyone disagrees that if you're an illegal immigrant and you come in and you do rape and murder and kill people, yes, you should be deported. That seems 100%. Very reasonable.
Yeah. But that's for everybody. If you rape and pillage here, you're going. Bad. There's punishment. Yeah.
Yes. Don't do that. Very bad. But I do think what the major issue, the constitutional issue, the issue at the fundamental bits of America is that it's happening without due process, and everybody is guaranteed due process.
Yes.
That's how you determine what's right and wrong.
That is the scary part. Is if, again, this is the situation. They said they were going to take you 10 years ago. I could have said, "Hey, look, we'll file. Katie, we'll file paperwork. We can get you back." Today's day, if they take you and say, "Hey, they're going to deport you," I'm like, I have to fight you now, plainclothes officer, because I don't know if we're going to get Jonah back.
No. Exactly.
At what point is that situation going to come up where people are like, "I'm going to shoot you"?
Because we're allowing U.S. citizens, people born in America, to be deported to another nation, a torture prison, basically. And then when we're told to bring them back, we go, "Uh-oh, they're out of our jurisdiction. We can't do anything." That's a lack of power on the American government. That's a lack of control by the presidency. That's a lack of capability of safety for your citizens. That breaks the social contract of our government.
Yeah. And I think people don't understand. It's so wild to me. People don't understand how big of a deal that is. Like, my heart drops when they're like, "Hey, they took this guy. He had the paperwork to be here. He was, he had a family union, and they can't get him back, even though the Supreme Court is telling them to get him back."
Yep.
Like, is that not worry? And the conservatives are still like, "Oh, you guys are overreacting." It's like, what the fuck?
That's storm the Capitol bullshit right there. Yeah. That's a reasonable time to do that.
Yeah. If they storm the Capitol after that, I'd be like, good on you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's America being Americans.
Yeah, but they're storming the Capitol up there fucking... Oh, my God. And it hurts my soul. They're doing it for this orange fuck. This guy, I still don't get it.
You don't have to. That's the thing. You don't have to know why he's popular, or you don't. His charisma doesn't have to work on you. It just has to work on enough people, and it does. It does.
Oh my God, it's crazy. I hate him so bad.
Pride and avarice. That's what he wields like weapons, and he's very good at it.
It's literally just a little kid saying, "I'm not wrong."
Yeah.
We're gonna play a game. I'm gonna change the rule of the game because I win.
Oh, look how smart he is. That's 5D chess right there, baby.
It's so
Let's all
crazy.
clap, applaud, and put a little patch on our ear for him.
He's like, "Am I popular still, guys? You guys like me, right?" Like, "You're weird. But for some reason, these other weirdos fucking like you."
Oh, did you just see that Trump signed an executive order saying 50% all of America's national forests have to be opened up for lumber control to fight wildfires? But really, he's giving all the bids to the timber industries. So it's just raping our forests again.
Yeah, Washington State is gearing up for lawsuits right now.
Good.
Because Washington State is the biggest state that's going to be hit by this.
Yeah,
I imagine
Washington and Oregon.
As well.
Yeah.
And
some East Coast ones because of Appalachia.
Yeah, they'll be East Coast ones too. But I mean, this will be very bad, especially as Oregonians, Washingtonians, the Pacific Northwest. We like our forests.
We love
We don't
our
want them back.
forests.
We've already been through this fight before, and we know what happens. The other part is we know what happens when we cut
The
down
tree
too many trees.
wars? Oregon did the tree wars, and we won.
Yeah, so this will be a fight they can have, but you don't like. I mean, how far can you push states before you're like, no, this is what makes us our state. This is like what the Pacific Northwest, baby. This is what people know us for. You want to take half of it? Are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah.
Well, and the bullshit part of it is that he's claiming it's for fire suppression, right? To stop the wildfires of like California and the giant fires that happens. But we know what the timber industry does in those situations. They go through, they do pretty much a clear cut of the old growth forest. They then spray poisons on the undergrowth to kill any of the undergrowth growth. And then they come back through and they replant with pretty much monocultures, which, you know what that does? Increase disease, increase dead trees, and increase fire risk. So you're going to take those areas and put it right next to our national forests. They're just going to burn through.
And the problem is young trees burn easier anyways.
They don't have the defenses.
Yeah, if you start getting rid of some of that underbrush, like the more natural ways, adding more natural plants or clear cut or cutting those, our old growth forests would handle those fires. They'd be okay for the most part. Sometimes they won't, but for the most part, they'd be okay. But if your new plan is just to cut them down, the other part of it too is we have soft wood in America. We don't have the climate for it. Like, they're not building houses out of this shit. It's not going to make it cheaper. That's another one of the things they're saying is that they're trying to replace Canadian lumber. It's like Canadian lumber is fucking freezing lumber.
Some of the best lumber in the world, if not the best lumber in the world.
You kind of replace it with our soft lumber. Our trees are for soaking up fucking pollutants and shit and making sure our water's cool. Their lumber is strong and hardy. It makes no sense.
They have lived through Arctic winters many a times. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it. They're just fucking old and mean.
Gnarled pine trees as far as the eye can see. Trump, toothpicks.
Yeah. Like,
yes, an IKEA chair. Exactly what I wanted.
I know. What do you do with all this lumber? Like, I don't know. It's insanity. And that will be something. Oregonians, though, the problem with that, though, is Washingtonians and Oregonians, we both have the same issue where on the I-5 corridor, we have lots of liberals and stuff like that. I mean, I guess you have Spokane, too, as well as a pretty liberal city in Washington. But then the rest of our state is all very red. But
it's like the farther you go from the coast, the redder it gets.
It's true. But the problem is all those red areas, they also love fishing and our forests and that. So it's in Oregon and Washington, even Idaho, I don't know how much lumber they got, but you're going to have big battles with the entirety of the state. Nobody, whether it's liberals or conservatives, nobody's on board with cutting down our forests. We like fishing and hunting and hiking here.
Yeah. That's one thing I love about like Republicans and Democrats is that we agree on so many fundamental issues, like the environment. Most Republicans actually like the environment. They like fishing and hunting and clean air and all that other stuff. But there's so many times where their constituents, their people that have the voice for them, phrase it as a bad thing. Oh, it's better profits to do this. But then they don't realize that kills the fish that they're then fishing. That kills the industry that they love and enjoy, that they've grown with as a kid.
Yeah, the first salmon that came back in Washington State, the tribes fought for that for years. Republicans voted it down, and when it happened, Republicans over in fucking in Sweet Home and Lebanon area were like, "Hey, the salmon are back!" Like, fuck you.
Do you not see why? Yeah,
you didn't want this for so long. And then you're happy that the salmon are back. You're fucking idiots. And it's like, you're right. There's so much crossover between what like I agree that farmers should have subsidies. I think our farmers are very important. I think that industry should have subsidies. And farmers are like, yeah, we want it too. It's like, yeah, okay. We agree on that. It's like,
we want farmer subsidies, but no subsidies for food banks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
they're the same fucking thing.
Same thing. Yeah, who needs to buy all your food?
Yeah,
that's happening right now. Is there food pantries across America right now are starting to empty out, and farmers are starting not to be able to sell their goods
because there's no USAID. There's no USAID.
There's no money for the pantries to buy the fucking food from the farmers. It's a double whammy of fuck. And they're like, well, what happened? Who could have seen this coming? And then a lot of these guys, these farmers, they're still like, well, I still believe in Trump. I still think he's a smart guy.
He's playing 5D chess and everything's going to turn around tomorrow.
Yeah, and like, I don't know what you think. Like, why do you think this guy is smart? He bankrupted businesses. He losing
Well, he
money.
bankrupted 2 casinos. That's as much as you should know about him as being a business owner. I mean, he's bankrupt more businesses than he has that are successful by a decent margin.
It's silly that they're still like, well, I mean, you bankrupt.
Shucks, give him 4 more years.
Yeah, if you bankrupt 3 casinos, then I would start looking into it. Two casinos, that's it?
Oh, well, what blows my mind is that their fiscal plan was to cut taxes to the rich by $4 trillion. And then on the same plan, they raised taxes on the rest of Americans by $4 trillion. And it's like, oh, so we're just paying your rich friends that helped you get elected president? Isn't that an oligarchy? An oligarchy that doesn't work for the people?
No, you're phrasing it wrong. They're not raising the taxes on us to do it. They're cutting social programs. And socialism is bad.
You're right. You're right. They're doing both.
Yeah. And people are okay with cutting social programs because they're fucking stupid. They're like, well, I don't use Medicaid. I use volunteer. In Tennessee, it's called volunteer health. And like, yeah, you use Medicaid.
Yeah, volunteer. That's Medicaid. That's just another word for it.
Like,
Didn't Trump just slash the entirety of the Museum and Libraries Act so that museum and libraries aren't getting funding anymore?
We don't need them.
That's how you get a dumb population. That's how you get the individual who doesn't understand what history is, which is the goal.
Yeah, we don't need books. We don't need farmers. We don't need teachers.
I don't need none of them learning words.
Like what? And the thing for me is, at what point, like, what could he slash next that is like that would send these conservatives over the edge and be like he's cutting the farmers off right now. He's sending them into a fucking death spiral, and they still don't get it. Like, other countries are targeting specifically red states
on their tariffs.
They're gonna go fucking bankrupt in their own states, and they're like, still don't get it.
And then the blue states are nice, and so we'll probably give them money to help support them, which is crazy. Which is the craziest part of it, is that we'll still help them. Which I think we should, because helping your fellow man is the important and right thing to do. But it blows my mind that they work on such a me basis that to help somebody else seems like an attack to them.
I don't know what the answer is here, though. So I thought about this for a while the other day, is that people have tried like explaining to these fucking idiots, and I can't call them anything that at this point. Like, hey, this guy's a rapist. That should, that
should be the end. Yeah.
10, 15 years ago, that would have been the end of any presidential race from anybody. They would not even nominate the guy. Nope, rapist, gone. You're out of here. That wasn't enough.
When he made fun of disabled people live on TV, wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough. He bankrupts fucking. He's a businessman. That's why I want him bankrupting businesses. Well, that's not enough. He was on. He's been sued so many times by small businesses. Small businesses that went out of business because he refused to pay them and knew he had the money to go into courts. They didn't. And there's a fucking line of them out the door telling people, this guy fucking ripped me off and ruined my business. Wasn't enough. People said he's for the small guy.
34 felonies wasn't enough. 2 impeachments wasn't enough.
He's a rich boy from New York that's inherited all of his money.
Should be antithesis to the ideal of Republicans. Isn't.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, I don't think I need any more to say, like, I don't know what it is at this point. Is like, do you give them a soft hand and be like, hey guys, we're going to help you out still. We can do this together. Or is it still going to be, you guys are fucking idiots? Like, I don't know if that's how it needs to happen now, is they need to burn their hand on the stove again and again until
Well,
they lose
the problem is we're all on the fucking stove. Like, I wouldn't mind if they were burning their hand, but they're burning my hand, saying, ha ha ha, look how hurt he is. Look, the liberal, the leftist is mad. Look at the monkey dance.
I'm talking about the states, though. The state, if
Yeah.
more liberal, if the West Coast can survive this, ride this out until the next presidential election, until the midterms, and these red states start getting hurt, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but I don't know if that will be for the overall betterment of everybody. If you're like, hey, do you realize this happened because of the way you voted?
And a lot of red states already have a solid base of authoritarianism to them. Like Missouri is releasing their new, they just put another law into motion to have it so that all recently pregnant women have to be put on a registry so that they can't leave the state, or that if they do, they'll be tracked for taking an abortion, because having an abortion is already illegal. And to go out of state and commit an illegal crime is still a crime in their eyes. So they want to make a registry of all possible abortions, which means all pregnant women.
That's fucking insanity.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of support in their house over there, in their bill process.
I hate
Missouri.
That. That's the other part. All these fucking bum ass fucking senators, like, these guys are. Oh my god. None.
Yeah.
I hate.
You just turned off there for a second.
There's just so many of them that are just such bad people. Like it. This isn't just Trump doing this. All these guys are voting in lockstep with him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Weird. What I think, right, is mostly it's a matter of choice. Freedom, the only way to quantify freedom is by capability of choice. And to remove the ability of choices is to remove someone's quantified freedoms. So the more often you're able to be like, all right, you have a choice of schools. That means you have more freedom to pick the school that you want that'll fulfill your needs as an individual. If you make it so that you don't have a choice, there is no choice for, you can only go to this one school. That might be a school for fish and you're a monkey, and all of a sudden you're not learning anything that's going to help you. That's a crazy example, but you get the analogy. With abortion, right? I know there's a religious aspect to abortion where people are like, it's against God, it's against my religion, it's against the procreation of humanity as a whole, so on and so forth. So be it. And then people like to get real testy and real minutia about the date that you're allowed to have an abortion. So yeah, as I was saying, I think one of the biggest issues is that with abortion specifically, people get very particular about like the date that you're allowed to have an abortion. Are you allowed to have an abortion within the first week, first 6 weeks, first trimester, first 2 trimesters? And what that really is just limiting capability. Because what I've seen is the moment that you're entering the argument of like, you can only have an abortion by this time, you've already acquiesced the ability to have an abortion, because they're just going to keep knocking that date down until it's at conception. That's the ultimate goal. So you either have to be willing to have abortions up to like 9 months, fully capable of birth, or you have to have the argument where no abortion whatsoever is legal. And I'd rather have a full-term baby who's capable of living outside of the womb be aborted than not allow any abortions whatsoever. Because I know the percentage of women that would be willing to do that is so fucking small. Infinitesimally small. Women don't do that normally. And if they do, that's probably a woman who shouldn't have had that baby anyways.
Yeah.
It's a logic process that fixes itself.
True. I think these conservatives live in this fantasy world where everyone's coming to get them and everyone's bad. It's like with the trans athletes. They're like, look at all these trans athletes. It's like, how many? Name them. And if trans athletes are such a big deal, why wouldn't they be the best athletes in the world? Why wouldn't every college championship and every professional women's sports would be won by trans athletes if it was that big of a deal? Why aren't they?
I agree that I don't think the trans issue is that big of an issue. I do feel like it's weaponized to provoke emotion. On the other hand, if you are born male at birth and there is a female transition to male who's coming in and you don't want to compete against them, I don't think you should have to. That type of thing.
You shouldn't have to, but here's the thing with this, is there are rules in place. You have to be on, I can't remember what the exact rules are, and it differs from state to state, but for the most part, the rules are you have to be on estrogen for so long. There has to be so long of a transition period, and you can't just be like a boy, like, hey, I'm a boy today, tomorrow I want to play against girls, especially against sports like that. There are rules against that where they can't do that, and so most of the time,
but what if you self-represent as gender fluid, and then you still want to fight in the ladies?
There are rules against that, though. Is what I'm saying is, and so most of the time, what's happening is there people that have already transitioned and are doing these sports in college or whatever it may be. And again, though, you can say, hey, I don't want to. Maybe I'm not comfortable with it. But at the end of the day, though, is these people like that are doing these, that are transitioning, they're not winning championships. They're not even in the top fucking 100. You know, so if it was such a big deal, if they had such a big advantage in whether it be combat sports or track and field or volleyball, whatever it may be, you think they'd be at the top of their game, right? And they're not. They're not winning anything. The record holders, the champions, these are all still natural-born women. And so, to me, it's literally just being transphobic. There's nothing to it more than that. It's saying, I don't feel comfortable with them. It's like, they're still getting beat like by women that were born women and not transitioned. So I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Like, what is the big deal?
No, I'm all for having like an open league. If you want to be male, female, or trans, you should have your own league type of thing.
The argument, though, I'm just saying, though, is it makes no difference. People that are transitioning are not winning the champion. They're not hitting the hardest. They're not the fastest. That's not changing anything. Except that you're including people now. Saying an open league is still a bit transphobic because, again, if I would agree with you if in every category or even higher category, like male to female transition athletes were like near the top, and in the male categories they were nowhere. Right? I would agree with you 100% there. There should be this big conversation we have, all these things, but I disagree because it's not happening. There's no big advantage right now.
Well, money is really what's going to dictate what happens. If they make money by being a sports person and then they get fans, cool, that they'll continue, they'll be accepted. If they don't make money or if they lose people money because they're trans and then the fans don't like watching it so much that the sport industry actually loses money, they won't be allowed. I think honestly that's what's going to come down and decide it one way or the other. It
probably will, but I mean, my issue though is right now, as long as transitions has been available, you don't think there'd be somebody that would say, hey, I'd be willing to transition, or hey, I kind of thought about it, and I'm a pretty good male athlete, would be willing to transition to be the top female athlete, especially in sports like volleyball. Where
there's tons of people who would be about that. Yeah, there's hundreds, thousands of people that would be willing to do that for glory and for it to be the number one spot.
That's what I'm saying. Is it like in China, right? You can be. So if you were an okay men's volleyball player and you were willing to go through the estrogen and be like that and do the full transition and then go play in the Chinese professional volleyball league, that's the highest paying volleyball league in the world, I think, right now.
Oh, okay.
You totally do that. I bet you there are men that are willing to do that. But why aren't they? And why aren't they winning? Why aren't they becoming the best in the world? Why are the best athletes in those leagues still natural born women? Because it doesn't make a difference, because the estrogen is taking a lot of that muscle mass away. It's changing enough where there is no that big of an advantage, or enough of one that it's changing how the athletes are. And to me, those are just the facts. As an athlete, I would be mad if someone has a big advantage. I would be. But as an athlete, I've played against people before. I'm like, there's no advantage to this. What's the big deal? It's literally just transphobia. And I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. It's just another point to hate somebody. Again, if there's an advantage, absolutely. Let's fix the ruling on it. Maybe have their own league.
I'm not an athlete, so I'm not that well versed in like the individual minutia of they have more power, they don't have more power. I just know I only hear the stories of people being like they were transitioned and then they beat the whoever it was. Those are the only type of stories that filter to my feed. So I don't have the personal interaction to pull on. And I know it makes a lot of people uncomfortable to know somebody who is transitioned, and that's fine. Just get over it. It's who they are. So be it. So if we're going to approach that way with sports as well, sure. I just think that the easiest way to mitigate the complaints to stop the it's not fair is just to have an open league in all sports. And then male, female, transitioned, gender fluid, whatever, could just operate in an open form. And then most likely men would dominate whatever that form was. And then people would get mad about it too.
Yeah, there's open leagues would not work at all, though.
I disagree. It doesn't make any sense. You could just go based off of weight, or you could do an open league based on testosterone and estrogen level in your bloodstream. If you wanted to be that dedicated about it.
I'm telling you, for men and women, right? So again, for volleyball, right? Specifically, like there is a big difference between men and women volleyball. That's why they have different height nets, right?
Mm-hmm. And basketball, because there's different height nets in basketball as well.
No, basketball the same height.
I thought women's league's basketball was like a foot shorter.
Nope.
All right, I've been misinformed.
Yep. People wanted to. There's been an argument to be made about making it shorter, but no, it's the same height.
Oh, okay.
Women's net shorter though for volleyball. I will agree that there is a reason. If you're playing men's sixes, you don't want them to play a women's sixes team if they're on the same level, same skill level wise. The men are going to destroy them. It's just what it is. Women are very good at it, but there's just an athletic difference. Having an open league with everybody, men, you're right. Men would dominate those leagues. Absolutely. There's just, there aren't going to be a lot of women that they're going to argue that. The problem is, though, is that trans women don't have a place to play, right? Because they're saying there's an advantage.
And there aren't enough trans people to just make a trans-only league either.
Yeah, and there aren't. And also, having a trans-only league is also more separation for them. The problem is, though, is that there is no data. There's no proof that trans people, like trans women, are dominating these leagues. That there's an athletic advantage as the rules they have them now. So I know there are certain rules. Like it's not just that you can just place, hey, we're gonna put a man here and he's got a wig on because he.
Which is how the Republicans frame it. 90% of the time.
That's exactly how they're framing it.
They're framing it like I'm over here being like, haha, I want to go do tennis. I'm gonna be put on a wig and now I'm a female tennis player. And that's not the case.
That's not the case. Yeah, exactly. But if you're telling me though, like, hey, there's a women's fucking boxing team over here, and this male to female transition person is knocking all these women out. I'm like, all right, I'll hear the argument now. Let's talk about it. But that's mostly sports though, and actually all these sports you're talking about though it's not happening.
But then you have the case where you do have a transition person who wins the heavyweight belt for women's, right? And all of a sudden, everyone will be looking at that, and it won't be like, oh, look at that trans person who won. Look at them go. It'll be like, look at that man who just beat those women. That's what it's always going to come down to.
It absolutely will. It won't.
Because when you're a man who transitions to a woman, right, and then she goes forward and wins whatever sport it is, it will never be based on her individual effort and striving. The perception will always be, that's a man who just beat women. That's how it's always going to be perceived.
Oh yeah, there is no winning for it. It's like a what do they say? It's like a if you're a big strong guy fighting a weaker guy or
that's why weight classes exist. Yeah.
Well, there's no winning for the stronger person.
Oh yeah.
If I win, you won because you're supposed to win.
And then if you lose, you lost.
Yeah. That's how it is, men to women or male to female trans people. But like I said, again, until it starts showing up that these people are destroying women leagues and winning everything, and I just don't see the problem with it. There has been plenty of athletes that have played.
I think this is something that we're going to disagree on, and that's fine. Because if you are the individual woman who gets beat by a transitioned person, you're never going to accept that you lost that fairly. I wouldn't. If there was Superman, right, who transitioned into a human and then he beat me at whatever sports we were playing, I'd be like, well, no shit, he beat me. He was a Superman, but he transitioned to a normal human. But he's still Superman.
But if you have a Superman, right? Okay, so say you're using that example, which is false. That's not what's happening. But the better example would say, hey, I got fifth. The Superman person got fourth, and third, second, and first were all regular humans. I got cheated by you. No, you got beat by everybody. That's what's happening.
That's where we're different. I'd be like, I should have got fourth.
So you should have won no medal, but you should have beat that one person. And
the reason why they didn't, in my mind, would be because they were transitioned. Yes. That's what it would always be. I would always give the out. That's 100% a mental out that the majority of people will take.
I think that is a petty way to be transphobic.
People are petty, one, and I'm fully accepting of trans people. I fully do. I have plenty of people who have transitioned in my life, and I like them. The thing is, with large scale sports leagues, the act of fighting one body against another body, the interaction of hormone deficits, transitioning, developing muscle throughout puberty, the focus of that when put into competition against somebody who doesn't have that exact same life step, you will always assume that they have a benefit, that they have victory over you because of those actions, not because of your faults.
And we can think of those things all we want, but the stats just don't show that, though.
And they don't have to. The individual person's feeling is what shows it. And that's what gets shown on news, and that's what gets repetitioned until it's true.
And so the problem is, okay, so think of it the opposite way, though, right? A person that's going male to female, right, and does all their hormones and changes, makes full transition. They can't play in men's leagues either, though. They would get destroyed. They're no longer fit to play in men's leagues because they're just not. They're no longer men. They don't.
And here's the other thing I want to make, because we've been very focused on men to women, women to men who are taking testosterone who beat a man. I'm going to go, oh, they're actively taking extra testosterone. No wonder they beat that man.
See, but and this is what I hate, though. This is the kind of, there's always an excuse type of thing, though, right?
That's exactly the thing. There's always an excuse. Yes. That's the whole issue.
But I'm saying, you're saying the conservative side is making the issue. I'm asking, is it you that would make that conscious decision, though? Because here's the thing is even men, we make different levels of testosterone.
Yeah.
So at 15, 16, they're sky high with testosterone. And here's the thing we're talking about, right? And it's what level? Are we talking professional for money? Are we talking high school for fun? Are we talking middle schoolers? Are we talking college?
What level? I'm talking college and professional. I don't really care about high school. That doesn't really affect someone's sports career if they get beat by a trans person or if they didn't get beat by a trans person. But if they're trying to make qualifiers for a national championship or whatever, and they just barely get beat out by a transition person who then goes on to get fourth or whatever, right? You as the individual would be sitting there like, well, I should have made it to nationals, but I got beat out by them.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though. Is these people, you're not making, the trans person's not making it to nationals, but neither are you. Neither one of you were going to make it to nationals. So you not only had to beat that trans person, you had to beat those other 3 natural born females. Yeah, saying no is, and that's
I think I've made my position clear. You've made your position clear. I feel like we're just going to keep beating this in a bush for a while. And I feel like the majority of individuals would be happy to have an open league. And then I understand that there is a very loud percentage of people who want full integration regardless of position or transition time. Because with transition, the rules specifying around transition time, estrogen levels, muscle mass gain or loss or whatever it is, all the rules, then you're just arguing semantics. Someone's going to say that rule's against my identity. Let me get rid of that rule. And let me try to get a higher capability of myself in this league.
I agree. And I will say this, though, as a final point, is I was more concerned with the youth as an inclusionary thing. And that's where I was getting. And if you're talking professional level, there is definitely rules because rules come down to lots of things. I agree in a professional sense where money's on the line and lots of money's on the line, whether it be through betting or contracts, whatever. I agree. There should be more, and there's no easy answer for it. There never will be.
No, there isn't an easy answer.
But as far as inclusionary, when at the amateur level, when you're talking about club or high school, middle school, if you're talking about, even college, to my extent, I think those should be inclusionary to their very best. I think the only way
I
you
agree
get
with
there,
college and like all that stuff. That makes sense.
yeah, but I do agree. There's not going to be a good answer, and I'm not a scientist. You're not a scientist in those senses where I don't know enough about the hormone and what's changing and what it is. And you're right. There's going to be people that are going to say, well, what about this little piece here? They had more bone density, or they had this, and I don't know enough of the science to tell you one way or another.
Exactly. I fully agree with that statement. There'll always be a excuse, as I was saying before. There'll always be a look at that. That's why they won, regardless if they didn't win the top thing either. Yeah. It will be people mad that they got beat regardless by that person.
It is, and there's always. I mean, it's the hard part though with any professional sports, like in bodybuilding, right? There's always the question of like, oh, who looks bigger? Who wanted this things? But bodybuilding is comes down to genetics.
The majority of genetics. Yeah,
it comes. Yeah, some guys they have these. I mean,
testosterone.
Well, not just testosterone, but how your body builds muscle. Some people have longer and shorter. Like their biceps. Like Arnold was notorious for how good his biceps were, but it is pecs. He was. That's what made him look so good. Is he had this huge superhero chest and these huge superhero biceps, and that's what made his poses so iconic. Mm-hmm. But those are the people like, well, I want the Arnold chest, I want the Arnold biceps. Like,
yeah, but you're not built like that, though. He's built different.
Yeah, he was a genetic freak, but also worked his ass off. You don't have those. You're never going to get
the combo.
Yeah, and so, hey, is that fair? He has a genetic advantage. Get that fucker off the stage. He's like,
well, see, that's the thing. You're born with it. You didn't factory buy it. You didn't go out and be like, I'm changing this to be better, then going to go do the shows, basically. That's one of the big issues, is that it's an active change of their own body. And regardless of if you beat them or if you lost against them, there's always going to be the thought process of like, well, they had all this.
Yeah, well, I mean, like in bodybuilding specifically, though, they're like all the guys that are always going to win are going to be built like Arnold, like guys that are naturally going to be built.
And that's perception based.
Yeah,
that's the judges' perception based.
I mean, there's perception to it, but there are point bases on like certain things, and they're guys that are built for those things are going to win those, always. And so I get what you're saying. It just there's always arguments to be made, things to happen. Because like for me, I can never build like biceps like size. Even when I was younger, it worked out a lot. Like bicep size was never. I have a very long arm, so it just poofs up here. Like I could get some, and then some people have this just ball that don't even work out as hard as me, and I'm like, you fucker, dude.
Damn it! I want that. I want the superhero bicep.
Lift a lot, you do not.
All right, what else in the world is causing us anguish or annoyance? Everything.
Everything. The economy, the Chinese are probably the world leaders now.
I do love the Chinese TikToks I've been seeing recently, which is like old school America propaganda, which is just somebody going through like a grocery store and being like, look how expensive our strawberries are. And they're like $1. And you're like, oh shit. Okay. Or they're like, hey, look at all of our high rises and look how wonderful our streets are. And that's the old school America propaganda of being like, look how great we are. And they're just showing everyday life.
Yeah. China has fucking clean subways and shit that are fast and on time. I was like,
bullet trains and massive agriculture fields and like, insulated government. Yeah.
Am I moving to China? What's happening here?
Well, that's how effective that type of propaganda is. And America is having a much harder time with that because our great stores are like Whole Foods. And that's like $12 for 12 lemons. It doesn't make any sense.
We have priced out everything. The 89-cent beefy fucking 5-layer burritos.
$5 now. Yeah.
Crazy. I remember that is one of the things that's hard times they're talking about is a recession is on the fucking horizon for us. Is the joke has always been is now currently you see it on social media is how did the millennials survive? We're like, oh, we didn't pay our rent, we didn't, but also part of that was we had cheap food.
Yep.
For long parts, McChicken's like, and
I remember being $1 was
yeah.
the best.
Yeah, Taco Bell, you go buy those 89-cent burritos and that, like you can buy those and Crunchwraps like $1.50.
Yep.
You know, it's like, hey, and we weren't making, honestly, we weren't really making any much more money than we're today. You know, I was still making like $12 an hour back then. I mean, now I make more, but you know, it wasn't that low. The
thing is, $12 an hour is still more than the national minimum wage.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so you could go and be like, hey guys, everybody want to chip in $5 and I'll get everybody fucking lunch and dinner at this fast food place. Now it's like, hey
now
guys,
you can't do that. Now you're penny pinching for the value menu, and that doesn't make Americans feel strong. That don't make people feel proud and happy of where they live.
Yeah, and they're wondering why things are the way they are. It's because we are fucking poor. We're telling you we're poor.
The best way to stop a revolution is bread and circus. And the bread's too damn expensive, and the service is a subscription fee that you can't pay for unless you have internet. Like, you're making a revolution happen by pricing them to it.
And they keep saying we need to price more. It's like, well, you keep reporting $billion fucking profits, and you keep raising the price of things. Why? Do you need to, or do you want to?
Massive products and then no cuts. Yeah.
They did an interview with this guy. He owned like 6 houses, and he was like, well, yeah, he goes, I think I got to raise the rent, in the next year. And the reporter later was talking, she's like, oh, why? He's like, well, that's just what the kind of the value is around here. She's like, well, are you updating anything? He's like, well, no. I mean, we'll probably fix up what the last person did, make sure it's okay. Like, why are you raising the rent then? He's like, it's just kind of what everybody else is doing right here. It's like, so you're not
adding value.
You're not adding value. Your houses are paid off. You don't need the money, but you're raising rent. It's like that line of thought is so bad. You getting the absolute most profit you can is such a shitty mentality to have. It's like, hey, how about I sell you a product and I'll make enough profit that I can pay my employees and we can reinvest in the company and I can make my money because I feel like I deserved this. And we'll all do okay. Or I'm going to charge you the absolute fucking most. I'm going to pay my employees the least I can. And I'm going to take so much value out of it.
When you turn housing into a luxury good, you've got a problem.
Yeah. We don't.
And most of the houses nowadays are made with freaking toothpicks and spray foam, and they fall apart in the first tornado, or they burst into flames at the first spark. And then people's mortgages aren't covered by their insurance because the insurance pulled out 2 months before a giant fire, and there's no recourse to it. And then people are just trapped in generational debt. I will not be shocked when they start implementing generational debt or inherited debts. If like the housing market crashes or whatever like that, they'd be like, which China does 99-year loans, right? Because technically you don't own any property in China. You just buy it from the government and then rent it for 100 years. That's how that whole system works, which their whole housing crisis thing is teetering anyways. It's about to crash, or it has been about to crash for like the last 4 years. But I wouldn't be surprised if America starts trying to implement something like that just to keep the housing market high so that the stock market won't fully crash. Because they're interlinked so tightly, because so many hedge funds bought so many single family homes that now single families can't buy a home. They have to just rent homes from the hedge funds. And if those house prices go down, all of a sudden the hedge funds won't have enough asset capital to back up all their other bets that they made, and then it all comes down like a house of cards. The big bubble burst basically is what we're talking about.
I mean, and that's not even to mention America, our student debt and our fucking our
student debt that you can't get bankruptcy to wipe away is criminal.
Crazy. Absolutely insane. That's like one of the things that's like, hey, you can start over if you fuck up real bad. Now it's like, you fuck up real bad, whoa, you are fucked.
Okay, you fucked up. We'll still count interest for the next 10 years.
Yeah, your life is over.
Yeah.
And also the other part about school debt that is just, I know everybody's upset about, is the fact that you can pay so much on it and still owe so much.
Yep.
I remember watching this video.
Because if you're not paying principal, you're only paying interest. Yeah.
Yeah. This girl, she paid like $12,000. Like my initial debt was like 80 grand. She's like, I paid $12,000. I owe 80,000 and like $500 now. Like,
I
what the
owe
fuck
more
happened?
now that I've paid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like whoa, and like, and people say we shouldn't take stupid loans like that. It's like that's what you told us to do.
You said these
You
are good loans because they'll make my money back in my education.
Yeah, you promised millennials, said take the loans, go to school. You made the loans easy. On top of that, too, you give fucking poor 18-year-olds and say, hey, if you, I'm gonna tell you this is how, and it wasn't like companies and some fucking con man telling us, hey, take these loans, you should be fine. It was our schools, our
It was
trusted
Sally Mae,
teachers.
who was with the
It was
Department of
the
Education. Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying it's fine, take the loans, you'll get good jobs, you can pay them off. And then when we couldn't, they're like, well, why did you do that? We're like,
Idiot.
you said to do.
Yeah.
What did you mean? I know people that are doctors that are still paying like fucking thousands and thousands of dollars a month. One of my buddies is a dentist, and he's like, goes, I make a lot of money, like, but not as much as people think, because he has like I can't remember what it is, but it's a lot. He has to pay a month in his medical school debt, and he's like, and I'll pay that for 20 years. It's like he said he was telling me most dentists.
It's the greatest cage that capitalism ever built. To be a debt slave before you even enter the workforce.
Yeah,
it's wild. And then that reduces people's choices. It reduces their option and their capability. It fully locks them into whatever they went to school for. Because if all of a sudden they're not doing that, which a lot of people don't even use their degrees, all of a sudden they not only wasted all that money, they owe all that money, and they're not using what they bought. So the choice gets limited and their freedom gets slashed.
If you start medical school and you get halfway through and decide you don't want to be a doctor anymore,
you're fucked.
Yeah. Like, I think you got to be a doctor, big dog. Otherwise, pick another profession that's going to pay.
Big dog, that's 80 Ks of oopsie daisies. Like, you're fucked.
More than that, I remember one of my buddies, because it's what now, like 200, quarter million to become a doctor now?
Something.
I remember one of my buddies that was in medical school, like, he was about at his halfway point, and he was, like, laughing about it because he's with his fiance, and she's like, how much debt are we in right now? And he's like, I don't know, it's like 100 and something. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And he was having doubts about being a doctor, but he's like, and that was the conversation. He was like, you gotta be.
I gotta.
Yeah. It's like, I fucking put a lot into this. And it's like, wow, what if you don't like the profession though? What if you finish school and you're like, I fucking hate this? Still gotta do it. How else am I gonna pay this debt off? And that, you're right. It's when you lock people into stuff, you're giving them the illusion of choice. It's like,
yeah, but the choice is what color do you want your restraints to be? It's not the choice of where you want to go. It's how do you want to be locked up? What path are you going to be constrained to for the rest of your life?
And when you do that too, you're just taking away people's, like, I don't know, like, you're taking people's spark. And like right now we're in the age of the side hustle. Everything's got to be a side hustle. If you write a book, you better sell 1 million copies. If you do a painting, you better see who wants to buy that painting. It's like, what if I just kind of want to do something for fun?
If you want to have a conversation with your friend, you better stream it.
Yeah.
If you want to just hang out and have a good time, you better at least make some type of clips out of this. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Exactly. Fun needs to be profitable. It's no longer just a hobby. If you're not grinding, what are you doing?
Yep.
Like, yep. I thought I was just having a good time.
Which honestly is why it's so nice when we have little get-togethers and you come over. We'll have other friends come over. We'll all bring food together. We'll all eat. We'll all talk. We'll all play games. That's community. That's the tribe. That's your family that you've been building. That's what it's about being human.
Well, and that's why I like giving gifts. And that's why I like giving gifts. You remind people, because you can't remind people you care about them all the time, but giving little gifts lets them know, like, I'm still here. You still matter.
I got you.
Yeah, I got you. You're still in this moment. Also, especially when people need things, if they're like, I've been wanting this, but I don't want to spend the money on it. Those are very important gifts. It's like, I know you didn't want to spend the money on it, but you got it now. But I think again, we've gotten so selfish. It's like, we don't know community anymore. We don't know, if you don't have money, you're just poor. Like, if you're my friend and I'm like, I want to go to dinner, it's like, we can go to dinner, I'll pay. Like, I have what I have right now, you have what you have. It's like, And we're so individualistic now. It's like, well, that person's a bum. They need to get it together. It's like that person's trying their best. We're fucking, we're all trying our best right now. This is just really hard. I wish it was easier.
We're Americans. We all deserve a burger every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Well, I think it sucks that minimum wage isn't like minimum wage should be able to have your own apartment and like be able to do some basic things.
What
know?
It was built for.
That
That one person could support a family and own a house and then also produce and interact with the economy of some type. That's what it was built to do.
Yeah, but now minimum wage is you will die if you want to get an apartment, you can afford an apartment.
But back in those days, we used to have billionaires being taxed at 90%. The good days, the great days, when America was great. We were taxing the rich people like rich people.
I hate them so much. I really do. These rich people, like, I just don't get it. Just give up.
And the biggest argument is like, well, if you tax rich people, they'll leave. No, the fuck they won't. This is America. We're the strongest nation on the world. Tax them and they'll stay. And they'll reinvest.
In Britain, they started taxing them more. In Minnesota, they taxed them more. They left and came back.
Yep.
Because Minnesota was like, yeah, bitch, we got people that want to buy your stuff. Where are you going to go? Fuck, Elon Musk did that shit in Texas and got scared. He's building stuff back in California.
Yeah.
California's like, yeah, we have all the money.
We're where you want to be. Yeah. We have everything.
That's why I hate Oregon. Oregon fucking towed the line for Nike. What was it, like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And it's like, don't do it. Let them
sold out to Nike.
Trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go. We don't want your stupid jobs that you don't want to pay a living wage for anyway. We want you to, if you're not going to pay taxes and you're not going to give people a living wage, why are you here? Like, how does that help us? Let them go. Them and, all these, same thing with these tech companies and stuff here in Washington. Like, if they're not paying their taxes, why do we want them? I don't care how many jobs they create. But we'll create other jobs.
Well, the thing is, they're creating their jobs, and then they're actively giving them the least amount of money that they can to have them. Which business you go, yay, good. But as a society, you go, no, that's not good.
If you're getting government subsidies to build your factories, which I agree in, because we need these factories built by these really high technological tech companies, there need to be rules in place though about what you can pay and who you hire. Hey, you need to be hiring a lot of Oregonians. You need to be paying them a certain amount of wages. And then we will give you your subsidy for your big factory and you can make all your money.
Well, and that's where the company, where a family comes from. Because companies used to be families. They used to be pensions. There used to be unions. There used to be the owner and the workers, and they work together to make the company better. Now it's just the CEO corporate elite. Oh, corporate owns everything. And then you work for corporate or hope that corporate never notices you so that you're not on the radar. It's no longer a family. It's no longer the institution that we thought it once was.
Well, that's what I mean. When you're not taxing, again, that it just comes down to fucking greed. If you're not taxing at 90%, they don't need to reinvest. There's no point.
Yeah, tax the rich.
They're like,
all
I don't need
problems get solved when you tax the rich.
Yeah, exactly. If they're taxing at 90%, they're like, hey, I'm going to give all my employees raises. I'd rather give them money. Now I have loyal employees. I don't have to give that money back to the government. Win-win for me and for my employees. Good. Now you don't tax them at that. They're
winners.
Like, fuck the employees. Yeah. They'd reinvest. They're like, hey, we're going to build a new break room for the fucking employees, snacks for the employees.
And they would too. They'd much rather give it to the employees than they would give it to the government, which I agree with. Yeah, exactly. Screw the government. No problem there. Just also don't screw the people. You can't screw the government and the people. Then everyone's screwed.
Yes.
That's everybody. You can't do both.
It's such a simple thing. I don't understand how people don't understand it too. Because if you're giving more money to your employees and making happier employees, they're also going to spend. They're going to make our government, our economy better. They're going to go out and say,
up economics. Yes. That's up economics. That's always what it's been. Trickle down doesn't work if it doesn't trickle. Ugh.
Yeah. I'm one of the poors. You give me money, I'll spend it. I swear to God, I'll spend it.
I have things to buy. Please give me money.
Dude, I want a PC. I'll go, dude, give me 10 grand right now. I swear to God, I'll show you how easy I can spend it.
It'll be gone in a week. And then that's what the rich people go, oh, you give them $10,000 and it's gone in a week. It's like, yeah, because we needed things. Yeah. We had necessities that we needed.
The stuff. Yeah, I've needed a new bed for like probably a year. I'm like, I'll wait.
Americans are consumers. We consume. Give us money to consume. You're not letting us consume. We're not
Yeah.
fulfilling the ecological niche of America.
Well, that's I think the hard part with the 90, because people hear that 90% and people are like, oh, that'll never work, because that's all they hear. It's like it doesn't stop at 90%. It makes them do other stuff with the money.
Yep.
Instead of giving it to shareholders and to CEOs. Like it's not that simple. It's please, for the love of God, it'll help us all.
Yeah, no, I would have no issues, right, if we had a national like billionaires club where at 999 million, so on and so forth, 99s, you're taxed at whatever the rich person tax is. But the moment you make over $1 billion in a year, it's 100% taxed. You get a statue in like, I don't know, a Bass Pro Shop pyramid. And then you get a plaque that gets sent to you that says, congratulations, you beat capitalism. And then everything else is taxed at 100%. It'd be a mark of pride. Good job.
Can you imagine what they would do with that money if they said, hey, man, once you hit this much, once you hit $1 billion, every dollar after that's taxed. We're taking it.
It's ours.
They would be buying everything and not be fine with that. They're like, hey, I'm gonna buy a yacht. I'm gonna give my employees this. I'm gonna build. And we're like, oh,
they'd be building libraries and hospitals and interstates like billionaires used to do.
This is going to be the Elon Musk hospital. That'll show you guys. Good. Like, oh no, you showed us with a brand new hospital. Thank you, Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is going to solve cancer by having 15 cancer wards so he doesn't have to give the government money. Thank you. Yes, that's okay. Good job.
That's what I wanted to happen. Yeah. It's like, let's do it that way. Force them to spend. It's not, I mean, that's what happens. That's dumb because people that are small business owners understand that at a certain extent. Like a firefighting company, I do embroidery and stuff for. They give out really nice jackets and bonuses to their employees because they're a smaller business and they get government contracts. So at a certain tax dollar, they have to spend all this money, and they give it out. They give their employees really nice jackets and vacations and things like that. Because they want to, because it makes them come back next year, because they need firefighters to be able to do that work, and it also it's a good tax basis for them. And it's like that's what we want to happen. Hey, their employees got bonuses.
That's the motherfucking playbook. That's exactly what we desire.
That's exactly what we want. Yeah. Hey, there's a new fucking it's a snack machine, free snacks for all the employees, guys. And they're like, you know what? I don't want to quit this place. Maybe I don't making as much, but they give us new jackets. They get better vacation time. My PTO's crazy. You know, like maybe I will stay here. And you're like, yeah, thank you.
The benefits make the meal. Yeah, that's what it is.
It's fucking so stupid. And there's so many people that are poor as fuck being like, yeah, it'll never work. You don't want to tax hard working men. Look at that level. Like, what? Please, they're hurting you too. They're getting me.
I'm a CEO when I cry because of how stressful it is. All right, so does the person behind the fucking burger slinger when he's in McDonald's and it's a rush hour. It's also extremely stressful. But he's not making $10 million a year. No.
And the thing is too, is it's people like the hardest part too is it's most of the time it's people that are poor. Like again, I'm not rich, but I'm also not super poor at this time. I'm getting that middle class, or I was. Now I'm losing it, but just through the economy. But it's always people that making much less money, like minimum wage stuff. That are like, you can't do that. It's like, dude, I'm arguing for you. Like,
and they hate it. They're mad about it.
I know. I'm like, dude, I'll probably survive this with the amount of money I make. I'll just get to poverty levels. But you're already at poverty levels. What happens to you after that?
Super poverty levels.
You're gonna be homelessness. Is super poverty levels. That's fucking
really what happens is if you hit the negative integers, it just rounds back up. That's what they're counting on. Then you're on the top. Like when Gandhi gets too peaceful in Age of Empires.
Now he's a war fucking tyrant.
Now it's like nuking everybody.
Jesus. Yeah, and it's I don't know, man. There's just a lot of problems like with this. And I think it's social issues come out, economic issues. Like I mean, we have young men today. They're leaning towards conservatism because they can't get laid, which is
well, we've been having that for decades. That's the whole incel movement. That's all of that stuff.
Well, the Gen Z it seems to be very prominent in. They're called the male loneliness.
The gooning to hard right pipeline that they've talked about. Yeah,
crazy. Well, because I think you saw a little bit more. I think millennials in general had in our youth more socialization, and as we got older, less. And I think because of is that wage gap extended, so we never felt the full effects of no community in our youth. You know, when we were partying, when you were in military, I was in college. We had our friends, we partied, we all did our thing. I think now what's happening is these Gen Zers, because that wage gap, they've been in it the whole time. There's no community. There's no chance to be, you know, next to their friends, and also we opened up the doors for them. We said, hey, be whatever you want. You can be gay, you can be trans, you can be whoever you want to be, man. And we're gonna be okay with it. As your older fucking, you know, people up here, and we'll defend you. We'll defend your right to be what you want. And now they're like, we're gonna be conservative Christians and we're gonna hate women. And we're like, whoa.
But no,
wait a minute,
you chose wrong.
Jesus Christ. Wait, take it back a few steps. What the fuck, man? We said you could be anything. You're gonna
flip and reverse it. No.
And I think a lot of that just comes from lack of socialization. Because I mean, you know,
well, like, most of the conservative mindset, right? Most of the conservative mindset is to have uniformity. That's the basis of it, is you want everyone to be the same, act the same, respond the same, and then you'll have a structured society. That's the basis of the conservative identity, is that you want conformity. The basis of the leftist and democratic identity is you find strength in individuality. You find strength, you find power, you find acceptance in being who you are to the extent of who you are. It's a performative act. And in the middle ground where you go back and forth is we find prosperity. The thing is, we are missing the Democrats being like, yes, it's okay. And we are only having the Republicans being like, actually, what if we put people in prison camps? And I don't like the middle ground between the two of those.
No.
We've shifted that ground so far that I dislike it. Then again, on the other side, the conservatives saw the shifting for, like, back to our trans conversation, where they see that as hyper individualistic and a degradation of society. They see that as a mental illness, and that is a direct representation of what is wrong with an individualistic society, because it's against the conformity. It's against the block of identity that they have and an understanding of.
And the funniest thing to me about this too is popular media, and the conservatives also love, all this stuff comes from these minority communities, like from your gay community, your trans communities, your black communities. All these, the popular things come from them, and they try to take them. And they're like, it's like, you want to be this so bad.
But they don't want to stand out. They want everything that it is, but they don't want to be the one that stands out.
Yeah, be comfortable who you are. It's like the old saying, you know, the person that the guy that can't, you know, that's so like afraid of someone thinking they're gay is like, dude, you're hiding something. You know what I mean? The guys are like that, they don't want to hug a guy because it's gay. You're like, come on, you're all right.
Relax. Oh, yeah. Did you feel a little tingle? Did you feel a little tingle when you had physical contact? You starved bastard.
Yeah, it's like, you're not very comfortable in your manhood. You know, it is that kind of like, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't understand hating other people's things, because things are fun, right? Like they're like, I love like my one of my buddies does drag shows, and those things they go and have fun and they do their thing, and people that think they're just gay and being weird, it's like, you've never even seen them, have you? You know, it's like, it's not nothing about, you know, being gay. It's just, it's a dude dressed up in drag, and you're like, okay. But also look at your fucking 80s rockers. Yep. Those guys are dudes dressed up in drag, you know? And you were having a great time listening to them because it's fun. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're any less of a man, or maybe it does. I don't know. Whatever. Be whoever you want to be.
But that's the thing. The identity is yourself. You self-identify. No one else can tell you what your identity is besides yourself. And they only have an identity that's based on reflection, on what other people around them see and say about them. So for them to have seen somebody who stands out, stands above the crowd, is more than willing to take the hatred and visceral reaction that people have and still stand proud, that's a threat to their own sense of identity, because they don't have the same internalized identity. They have reflective identity.
Well, and it comes down to too, it's like, how weak-willed are you that you care what everybody thinks of you? That you can't do your own thing. You know, if
well, there is power and conformity for a society specifically.
100%. Because if you're like, because if you're like a teenager, whatever, high school, you're still learning stuff. Sure, there's time to conform. And you're like, I don't know what I want to be. I don't want to stand out. I get it. And as you gain more confidence as an adult, though, you should be able to like what you like. Because when I was young, like it was like I liked nerdy shit, and it was like there. When I was in high school, I'm old enough now. And in middle school, where liking anime made you a fucking loser, and I got made fun of it. I also played sports. I didn't get made of it too much, but I did get made fun of it a lot. And then as I got out of it, now it's really cool. Anime's in popular culture now. Everybody likes anime. Meg Thee Stallion likes anime, and people don't believe that you were a loser for liking anime back in high school. And it's like, yeah, but you gotta like what you like, man. It's like it doesn't,
And then that's the thing. That's how our society shifts. We have the standouts who see something, like it to their heart's content, and then that allows other people to also like the same thing until it reaches a precipice, in which case the majority of people like it. And then if you're somebody who doesn't like it, now you're one of the others. And now that's where the conservative people go like, you don't like anime? And that's where that comes in. It's all the same thought process.
And that's what I was getting at. Is like back in the day, people were making fun of the nerds for liking comic, because it wasn't like I wasn't really into comic books as a kid, but even making fun of the comic book kids, making fun of the weebs, that. And now it's like, well, those things are cool now because of Marvel and because of things. Everybody wants to hang them on their walls and stuff like that. And now it's like, it's the same thing as taking culture from everyone else. It's like, dude, if you would just be your fucking self and like what you like, it's like, hey, you don't have to try to be cool all the time. You don't need to be mysterious all the time. You don't need to, you know what I mean? Just because you grew up in the country doesn't mean you have to listen to country music or whatever it may be. You can listen to fucking Cher if you want to. I don't care. Cher is great. Be who you want to be. And that simple premise for a lot of people is what's causing so much hatred. Some dude that wants to dress in drag and sing Cher won't do it, so he's gonna hate everyone that gets to.
Yep, like, that's exactly how it is. No, 100%. That's where a lot of the hatred comes from, is through self-hatred. A lot of the people who are that aggressive towards the individual is because they want to be that individual, but they feel like they can't, or they feel like to be so is shameful. To be so is to have anger put upon you, because that's how they see it in their own lives. And so that's what they reflect. It's the reflective identity. Yeah.
And how boring is your life that you're not curious about other people and what they're doing?
People, cultures, foods, identities, ideas. That reminds me. Did you see the ICE thing that says anything crossing our border that's illegal will be seized? And it was like money, drugs, people, ideas. Did you see that picture that ICE put? Oh my goodness. Let me...
Ideas.
Google that up real quick. I'll see if I can Google it up real quick.
Anything illegal crossing the border?
Yeah, there was. They took it off here. Can I share my screen with you?
Yeah.
I think you'll get wild about this. Share my screen. There it is. Go live? What?
Hey, you're live.
Yeah. You see that?
I see that.
People, money, products, ideas. ICE.gov. Isn't that ridiculous? How can an idea be illegal? If it crosses the U.S. border illegally, it's our job to stop it. Ideas. An illegal idea.
I hate that. It's because they're stupid. They don't like, man, fuck ICE, dude. I hate these people. The thing is, too, is crazy is, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, whatever time frame, we're gonna look back and see these guys, and these guys don't know they're the bad guys yet.
No, they think that they're the God's chosen. Don't forget about how much of this is religious based.
Don't know they're the bad guys. Well, because they're gonna lose.
No, they think.
Like, I have no doubt. Like, I think things will go bad, but I think eventually, I think America is going to rebound, and they're going to lose, and they're going to come to a point where all these people that voted for Trump, all these people with these red hats, are going to realize they were just like the Nazi sympathizers. All these guys, these ICE agents, are going to realize they were just like the SS, and people are going to be like, "Oh, it wasn't me, it wasn't my family." I'm like, "No, it was you, motherfucker." I want to remember it was you. And now we have social media. That's locked in. You posted about this bullshit.
It's locked in. You can't do the same thing like they had with Ruby Ridge, or not Ruby Ridge, sorry, my bad. When they did the desegregation of the schools, and you see the white parents yelling, throwing rocks, holding signs against that little black girl, she's still alive.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're not going to be able to scrub that like they've been trying to recently.
No.
It's locked
Your
in.
job is linked to your Facebook, and your name is going to be there. We're going to recognize like, oh yeah, you fucker, you were racist during this time. Now that your people are no longer in power, no cruelty, but we're going to be a dick to you.
Which the other thing that I disagree with is using the government and the government using social media to identify the thought dissidents who disagree with whatever current policy is. Because don't get me wrong, I disagree with the racism and all that other stuff that a lot of our policy is having, and then the attack on DEI and all that stuff. What I think Republicans and Democrats should be more concerned with is that the government believes that they can use thoughts as basis for crimes, that they can use your expression as speech. You can use your identity you put online as a means for subjugating you to the law. Yeah. That's the bigger issue.
That's always been the thing here is you get to say, fuck my president, no matter what. And they still have to serve you because that's the point of being a politician.
Yeah.
And that's what makes America so great. That's what the world always, that's always been the joke. Everyone hates our politicians and we don't know your guys' politicians.
Everyone hates us, but we don't know yours.
Yeah. I can't name your guys. And that's fine. And our politicians have always been fine with those. You're going to take some hate. But now we have people with such small fucking egos. Like, what they said they didn't like me? To jail, obviously. Murder
straight
them.
to jail.
Yeah,
no trial. Put them to El Salvador.
I don't know if it's real or not. I wanted to look into that. I saw this thing about him having some of his guys wear pins with his face on it. Is that true?
The gold pin?
Yeah,
I saw that as well. I never double checked into that. Yeah, that was one of the things that I saw and I went, sure. And I kept going. I was like, I'm not going to give this my emotional time. But also, if we are talking about the religious aspect of the Trump presidency, the markers for like the Antichrist are the most clearly ticked off with him compared to any other president we've had.
That dude.
Right? Like you have to wear something on your hand or your head to mark you as one of his popularity with the evangelicals, his ability to take pride and make it seem like it's a good thing. Pride and avarice are his tools. The mark upon the brow, all of it.
Yeah. He's 100% the Antichrist. He is.
If there is one, I'll put money on it being Trump.
Yeah, if you're looking for the Antichrist, he's there. And it's wild to me, and this, why I hate religion and why I will never be a religious person is because of this. Is how fast it can be skewed. People are like, well, it's your own beliefs. Is like, well, these guys say they believe. But it's just brainwashing is all it is. How is it any different is sending a child to youth group and baptizing them and things? How is that not indoctrinizing them as much as it was if you were a cult or anything else? Is you're teaching them
the main difference between a cult and a religion is size.
Yeah. That's all it is.
If you have a religion of 30 people, that's a cult. If you have a cult of 5,000 people, you have a small religion.
Yeah, and that's the problem is that most of the people that like Trump were also very religious people. They're very easy to be tricked into this cult of personality, which is still, fuck me. The cult of personality of Trump. Wild. I've heard that a lot. The meme of that is like, really, this is how we're gonna go down to this fucking guy.
This is our kaput. All right.
I thought it would be somebody fucking slick, or either really really smart and snaky.
Like I thought I'd never see it coming. I thought I would see him as the good guy all the way to the end, and then I would be like, the wool is pulled over my eyes.
Well, not only just that, like maybe it would be like some powerful, like fucking like vicious leader was like, man, nobody wanted to stand up to that guy. He really was. He's a fucking war general, or some snake that really, really wiggled his way in there like that. But no, it's just some fucking just some fucking TV
a businessman from the 80s, New York.
Like what the fuck? This is the guy. This is you let this motherfucker trick you. I hate you. I hate you. This is not.
Well, the thing is, he's not even tricking people. He's full out telling them what he's gonna do, and then people go, "Yeah, that." That's what blowing my mind. Like Project 2025 came out. Everybody knew what was in Project 2025. Trump said, "Oh, what's Project 2025?" And then immediately signed like 100 executive orders that did Project 2025. Like he's not even tricking people. He's just doing it.
Yeah. What's happening? Just doing it.
What's the next thing? Oh, I think we're going to go after women. Ha ha ha. He must be joking. The next thing that happens is the SAVE Act.
I hate that so much because all these motherfuckers are like, he's just trolling people. People don't understand that you're the president. You don't get to troll people.
No, sorry. Comedy is by punching up, not punching down. If you're the president of the United States, you have no one to punch up to.
You don't. Trolling people is sure. Do it if you're like. I don't know what situation the president. You don't get to troll people about fucking bombs and taking away rights. Those aren't trolls. Those are, hey, that's serious.
I don't even want a president that does like knock jokes. No. Get that. You're a president. You're not a comedian. Get that out of here. No jokes.
Because the level of trolling is that it would be me coming up to a stranger with a knife and saying, "I'm going to stab you." I'm just joking.
I got you, but then you stab him.
Yeah, absolutely stab him. But no, I tell you I'm going to stab you, but like every time I see you for like 5-6 times, and people are like, "He's just joking."
And then one day you show up with a knife and you freak out, and everyone's like, "Whoa, look how that guy reacted. That's crazy."
Yeah. Who could have seen that coming? Guy threatening to stab everybody fucking all the time. Yeah, it's crazy. He's threatening and joke. You can't joke about taking away rights. That's not funny. It's not a joke.
No.
What's the punchline?
Like, I mean, Americans have already lost. That's the other thing. Our window of observation has shifted so much already because we have already lost so many of our innate rights. The rights to unlawful searches and seizures have already been completely exploded, basically, with how our online life is just monitored at all times. The ability to be able to seize any type of call logs, text logs, Signal, Facebook, everything is just full open to the government. Like you don't really have a right to privacy anymore. The entire internet is considered public area, and you don't have right to privacy in public. It's scary. And we're very happy with our surveillance state. The vast majority of Americans love the cameras out everywhere because they're like, "Oh, if you're not a criminal, why would you want no cameras? Why would you want to have your privacy so you're not monitored at all times?"
That's such a dumb thing to say because, like, I hate the non-negative. Is that what it's called? Those arguments like that. So it's like saying, it's like, "Hey, Jonah, I didn't know you were gay." And you come at me with like, "Dude, I'm not gay." Like, all right. And now, if anybody's listening to that
up a little bit, didn't you?
Huh?
You messed that up a little bit.
Yeah, because whatever you say, someone could say, "Is he?" You trapped yourself. In that conservatives use that argument all the time. It's like, well, if not a criminal, then why? And they're like, "I'm not a criminal, though." They're like, "Okay." And what are you supposed to say? "I am a criminal." They're like, well, that's what a criminal would say. It's a simple, stupid thing to say. No matter what you say, there's no right answer. It's such a bad question. And conservative fucking media uses it so often. They like, "I'm just posing a question." It's like, well, it's a bad fucking question, and you know it was.
It's a trap of a question.
Yeah, it's a trap of a question. Hey, Jonah, do you eat babies? You're like, what?
So I would just say no, right? Yeah. Do you eat babies? No, I don't eat babies.
Like, okay.
What's the second part of that?
Yeah, they're like, "I'm just asking a question." And then people ask questions like, why did they ask Jonah if he eats babies?
I think you're trying to do something like, "Hey, Tony, do you like barbecue sauce when you eat babies?" Because then you'd be like, "No." Oh, so you just eat babies raw then?
No, I think what I was doing was the way I meant it is when they pose simple questions that are obvious no's, they plant the seed of, I can ask that again and again and again. They say the same thing over and over again in forms of just asking a question so much that people are like, is is that what's happening? If I ask you, do you eat babies, and someone else asks you, and then 10 other people ask the question, and the same people are watching it, they're like,
well, a lot of people are asking about eating babies. He must have some type of babies.
Like, did you know that people think Joe eats babies? And you're like, what the fuck? Why? They kept asking me, and I kept saying no. And you're like, yeah, you would, wouldn't you? It's such a stupid thing. I hate that they do that. They pose questions. They're like, why can't I just ask questions about the illegal immigrants that are rapists and drug dealers? Why can't I ask those questions? You're like, because you're asking it in bad faith. You're posing it that way. Why aren't you asking the question about the good things that are immigrants?
What really makes me mad the most is that every one of these actions is taken by the individual, right? The person who raises their hand and like, do you eat babies, congressman? That person has to make the choice. They have to wake up that day. They have to put on their thing. They have to raise their hand. They have to do everything. They have to ask it. And they have to live with the intent to do that for so much of their life. And then thousands of people live that way. Thousands of people have the same intent, the same design, the same action that they want to take. And social media has made it extremely easy for those type of people to organize, to get into groups, to have the same like-minded echo chambers and develop that at their will, which then they'll be able to bring in people who are a little on the edge. And then through repetition, they fall farther and farther down the thought fallacies that they are propagate. But once again, that individual is the individual. They always have the option to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. But they don't choose to not do it. And that's what breaks my brain. That's what I don't understand.
Because it's the Obama tan suit, right?
The tan suit. Oh, the tan suit. I remember that.
To me and you and to most people, it's a joke. But to people at Fox News and people on the right, they legit, this motherfucker wore a tan suit as the president.
The disrespect. Yeah.
Trump raped somebody, yeah. But this motherfucker is, how dare he?
It's manufactured outrage. They tell people what to be outraged about.
Exactly. It's they're doing it to you. And this is why sometimes I have some people in my life, and I won't say who, but some people when I have conversation with them, I do have to have that back off moment, because there's some people they don't like, or some things they don't like, or sometimes they're in a bad mood and they just hate those things. Whether it's work or this, and I can't get it because I'll get sucked into it with them. You ever hear that term? Don't get pulled into the crab pot.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. These guys
brings misery. It's reciprocal.
Yeah, they're like, fuck yeah, I'm with you. Let's be angry. Let's dude, we can get out of this. Like, nope. I'm mad. Let's be mad. Everybody mad.
And the thing is, anger is such a clear emotion. It feels good to feel angry. It's a sharpening focus. You can be driven. You can be passionate. You can be expressive. You can have a goal with anger. It's also corruptive. It also hurts, and it wears away at your soul and your heart. That's what anger does. It's a knife that cuts both ways.
It's true. Anger is cool. Have you tried happiness though?
No, way more fleeting. Dude. It goes away so much faster.
It's crazy. These people, these guys that work, there's a typical guy, people that are gonna vote Trump are these blue collar workers. They're like, man, I worked 60 hours this week and I didn't get to see my kids and my back hurts but you guys don't know what work's like. It's like, it sounds like you had a fucking rough day. How about we fight together to get you down to 40 hours a week and maybe some better safety situation, safety
40
gear.
Hours a week doesn't even work. It's a hobby. And that's the thing. They're defensive about their anger. They're defensive about what they're mad about so that they can stay mad. Because it's an emotion that they can feel.
Yeah, they don't even know they want to be happy. It's like, hey, how about we work together and get those hours down to 20? We'll get you better safety equipment so your back doesn't hurt. And we'll get you some better Medicare or medical help so then you can see a doctor about that back. And on top of that, you can see your family and your friends more. How about that? And they're like, fuck you.
How dare you suggest this?
How dare you? You're like,
what? And then the people behind me will have that too? When I didn't have it when I was there?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, that's the whole point is to make life better, not worse.
They're like, I want everyone to suffer because I'm mad. It's like, let's get you out of angry. Let's back off anger and get you into happy. Like, well, I'm angry already. So I'm like, well, all right. Well, you can't fight that. And that's the thing. That's part of it, is the biggest part of it, is you can't fight. I know when I'm angry, I'm irrational. if you spit in my face, there's no thought
Cool.
like I'll go to jail if I hit this guy. You're getting hit.
We're fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all it is we're spitting facts at people that are mad. They're like, "Brah,
Well,
fucking
there's no logic with anger. Yeah.
yeah, yeah." We're like, "Hey, man, it's the rich people doing this." They're like, "Fucking immigrants. I'm so poor and tired." And you're like, "Whoa, man, we do
So
this."
you don't have to be poor and tired. What do you mean I don't need to be poor and tired? That's what I've always been. How dare
Yeah,
you
it's
tell me I
trans
can be something
people.
else? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's fucking trans immigrants with fucking and you're
Trans
like, "Wow."
immigrants who
Yeah,
are
like-
extremely lazy and take everyone's jobs.
Yeah, they're fucking doing it all, and they're selling drugs on top of it. Like, man, Jesus Christ. Whew. I don't know how to. There's no argument.
One thing, so that's the thing about anger, is that if you are the person who stands up and say, actually, that's not true, you don't have to be angry about that. Everyone who's angry turns on you. They focus on you. They see you also as part of the problem. And that's why so many people in our modern times have such an issue with speaking up. They don't want to be the next target. Right?
Well, and that's why, like, yeah, they're booing Bernie Sanders for saying, "Hey, I think workers should have more rights, and I think schools should be better funded. I think billionaires should not have as much money." And they're like, "Boo!" You fucking socialist is like, what did he say wrong? Name one thing he said wrong. You didn't listen to any of it, did you?
What blows my mind is you can quote Jesus at them and say it's from a liberal, and they'll be mad about it. Just because it's put onto a different name.
They would hate Jesus today.
Oh, they would hate Jesus. He would be whipping bankers and attacking billionaires and giving money to the poor and healing the sick. And they'd be like, this absolutely unacceptable brown immigrant coming
if
through.
we start whipping billionaires, oh man, I want to fucking get it. You licks in at least.
Did you hear that for Luigi, right? The guy who is accused of shooting that CEO. They have no DNA evidence against him. They have him nowhere near the scene. They don't even have him in the state of New York when it happened. And now he's suing multiple companies for defamation who made documentaries about him being guilty. And he's like, shit. I'm not guilty. I'm still going through the court system. There's no guilt here. Like, and you're defaming me left and right. So not only will this case likely get thrown out at this point, he's probably going to make a shit ton of money suing people like Netflix and TMZ and all the other people who have made documentaries about him being this killer.
That'd be so cool.
Right? Right?
I love when rich people get sued and they lose.
It's the best. They have the money to cover it, so it doesn't really hurt them that much.
It's true.
A victimist problem.
Yeah, like if people steal from like Walmart and shit, I'm like,
good.
Yeah. I'm like, did you get something for me? Take whatever you want. I don't give a fuck about Walmart or their systems. Although they have really good cameras and they will catch you, but.
Well, the thing is, they'll catch you if you steal enough. They want you to get to a felony first before they call the cops.
Yeah. Which is just fucked up.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. Isn't that the worst way to do that? To be like, actually let them steal from me long enough that then we can take away their voting power.
Yeah. I would love to ruin a life.
You know, I know you've been 16 and you were stealing from us, but now that you're 18, you can be charged as an adult. Here's all the evidence of you stealing from us that we've known you've had for the multiple years.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, thank God I finally get to ruin a life, dude. Ruining lives,
glorious.
Yeah, I feel like that's is they love the tears of like the poor, or I don't know if like the super rich people, if they even realize like how much pain is down here. You know what I mean? Like rich people that like, you know, they're spending $100,000 on chartering private airplanes, or $100,000 on purses. You know, there's got to be this just so much difference between what's going on in their life and going on here, and they just want more and more and more of it. They're fighting so hard for more of their money. I don't even know if they know at what point they're fighting for anymore. It's like, dude, do you understand what it's like to be down here? You have no empathy, no sympathy.
Well, that's the thing. Even when you have people like Kim Kardashian, right, who goes from like New York, flies over to London because she wanted an ice cream, and then flies back to New York, right? crazy wealthy, more money than you could imagine, right? She still looks around at the world and says, well, all these other people have so much more money than I do. She looks like the Dubai princes and stuff like that, and we're like, well, they have trillions of dollars, so I'm not really that rich. Why are the people complaining? And it's just the continual disparity of value of the individual life. And now, listen here, I'm not claiming everyone should have equal value throughout the entire board. I fully understand for a society to function, there has to be people who have more, there has to be people who has less. I just want that fucking bar graph to at least be visible. To at least be like on the same metric, that we don't have to use a logarithmic scale or some shit. Like I want at least like there to be like a 90% difference. But there's like a 9,000% difference.
When you see the example of it, they're like, this is your level of wealth. And then it's like, over fucking way over there. They're like, holy shit, that's how much more money they have than me? By a lot. It's kind of big.
If the average American has 1 grain of rice, Elon Musk has enough grains of rice to fill an Olympic swimming pool. And people are like, what if we give him more money, though? What if we cut his taxes? Is that how we get more money?
How do we get Elon Musk to 2 swimming pools, and they'll trickle it down on
double
us?
Swimming pools, because water trickled down. I'll get a second grain of rice in 25 years. There we go.
Yeah.
And like, 25 years later, you actually have half a grain of rice now. How'd this happen?
Yeah. Fucking farmers voting for billionaires is just crazy to me. Like, they hate you. They hate your fucking guts. They want your farm is what they want.
Yeah, Bill Gates is the #1 owner of American farmland.
Yeah, you know who else is getting into it? Is JD Vance too, apparently.
Is he buying a lot of farmland?
Well, he bought into a company that trades in it. I can't remember what it's called.
Sure, I believe it. Sounds corrupt and evil.
That's apparently what's happening at the moment. I had to fact check that. I don't want to say that fully out. That's true, but apparently that's something he's buying into a company that buys up farmland. And yeah, it's like, it's all evil all over the place. They're gonna buy up all the American farmland, privatize it, just like they want to privatize everything. They're right now, the services that the SBA and GSA and Apex, the services we offer, companies are already like circling around to try to pick off counselors and helpers from these groups that are getting laid off to build their own. They're privatizing these things.
Yep.
These are public programs that have been helping businesses for 50 years are now going to be privatized.
But they don't want help. They don't want people with help. They want people to be helped who can pay for help. They don't want people to be helped for free, because then they can't make any money off of that.
You know what's the crazier part of it is, though?
What's that?
So one of the big pieces of that helps with these things is the reason companies will pay a lot for them is because they not only can they train their employees to do this stuff, but also they usually have better connections with other companies and with government agencies. So not only are they going to have the power to do the training for other small businesses, they're also going to have a better inside look on a lot of things, smaller contracts. They're going to eat up everything.
Yep.
They're going to eat. So the little that doesn't come across their plate very often, because we're trying to get those to small businesses. Again, there's guardrails there. The guardrails are gone, and the people that usually get them to small businesses are now working for them and giving them to them as well. It's like, hey, this stuff, the low-hanging fruit, no longer. This is not for small businesses. This is for the big guys only. And
only the big guys.
Yeah, they're going to have teams of professionals, of people that need jobs, have been doing this for years, helping them do it, that defended the small businesses for decades. It's like, there's nothing we can do about it, because they still need a job. And they'll probably pay you better for it.
At least in the beginning. And then when they have a monopoly on it, they'll pay you worse.
That's true.
That's how it always works. They try to make the monopoly the better option in the beginning, so that long term they can make it much worse, so that they can squeeze every penny out of you that they possibly can, and then they squeeze one more just because, and then they let you go and they squeeze another guy.
Yeah, it's the
pain.
Oh man. That's so crazy.
And remember, everything can be fixed if we just tax rich people at 70%.
Oh my God.
I'm not even asking for like the 90% of the days of old. Just 70% on anybody who makes over 10 mil. That solves all problems everywhere.
I'm asking for 90. I want 90 hard stop.
Hey, you know what? We'll ask for 90. We'll negotiate down to 70, and Americans will prosper.
Yeah, there you go. Start high. It does have to be that. the problem is too is though like the government does not represent us. They represent billionaires.
Yep, because you're
If you
allowed
look-
to spend money on the government.
Yeah, if you look at like I can't remember, was the past decade they did a chart on like what actually gets done versus what people want. But the people want almost never.
Oh,
gets
for
done. Doesn't
approval
matter.
rating versus non-approval rating, and it doesn't affect the graph at all.
Doesn't matter. It means nothing to them. What does matter is what companies want. It's like
Yep.
spot on. It's like, okay, so we're not your constituents. They are. It's companies.
Nike, Apple, Amazon, Dell, all of it.
Yeah, we get nothing we want, and they get everything. And so it's like
And people
who
say like
voted?
rich people would just move to another country. They won't. They won't. They
No.
need America. They will not
Yeah.
move to another country. Let them. They'll come
Yeah.
back.
Oh yeah. Let's play this fucking game, chicken.
Yeah,
Do
that's
it.
fine with us. No problem. I mean, hell, people who are like, they'll just move to another country. What do you think tariffs are doing? They'll just sell to another country. It's the same thought process. But people are happy with the tariffs, but they're not happy with taxing rich people. Just tax the rich people. Then you won't need the
Yeah.
tariffs.
I am also worried. I know we get a lot of like, things here. I'm wondering what's happening to the rest of the world at this moment.
They're panicking. The Japanese stock market crashed because America
Yeah.
and Japan are so intertwined.
Yeah, and I know China, they don't sell a lot of they don't buy a lot of stuff from us.
15% of their imports are from America. Or 15% of all of their GDP is imports from America. We do sell a lot to China. They're our biggest or second biggest importer.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, especially with the way, our world economy works, I'm just wondering what's happening. Like I said, I don't know 100% what's happening to the rest of the world. I'm wondering what the long-term pain, because as much as we hate this here, and this is causing a lot of pain to Americans, there's no way if we're feeling this pain, we're going to start feeling it. Everybody else is also.
Well, imagine Canada. Imagine how much they're being affected by this.
Oh yeah, Canada.
This is huge for them. They're being absolutely economically whipped right now.
Yeah, Canada, Mexico, China, all these countries are going to start feeling the pain. And it's because this fucking psychopath.
Yeah,
Everything
which
is
I'm
okay.
not opposed. I'm not opposed to causing other countries economic pain if it increases the power of America. But I don't think this is actively helping American industry. I don't think it's helping the American people. I think this is helping probably 35 dudes who are CEOs and are using this market pump and drop and jump that they're doing as a meme coin on basically the entire stock market to make massive short-term profits, and then they're going to pump and dump and then move on to probably Saudi Arabia or whatever the next rising power is.
Yeah, it's insanity.
Because if you want a strong nation, that's healthcare, that's education, that's food, and then that's nationalism or patriotism, right? If you can instill those four things, right now we're just focusing on the patriotism and the nationalism, and at the expense of food, education, and health, life, liberty, and love, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is it still bothers me. I remember when I was a kid, I used to think this was hippy dippy bullshit, but that there is enough to go around. There absolutely is.
yeah.
Just
We have the
100%.
technology, we have the excess, we have the resources, we have the logistics. We could give everybody a very, very, very standard base living, and it'd be fine.
We just
For
suck.
the world, by the way.
Yeah, the whole world. Yeah, humans are just awful. We're just terrible. We overconsume. I'm part of that. I overconsume. We just don't care. And on top of that, there is people that are actively, not only do some of us just don't care, but some of us are actively like, let's hurt them.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, why? I don't know.
Well, and another part of this whole thing is like for the greenhouse warming, right? People are like, we need to lower U.S. emissions. And then you have people who go, why would we lower U.S. emissions when China and India produce more? And you're like, okay, they produce more. They should also reduce their emissions. But since we can't control them, we'll reduce ours. And they're like, it's not even doing anything if they don't do it first. And it's always a finger point. It's never okay, let's actually make sure that everybody is doing good. It's why would we do good if they're not?
Lead by example. Be the fucking world leader, dude.
Be the world leader. What a concept that is.
show the people that we can do this thing. That's the other part of it is America used to be the premium, the world leader. We exported everything. We exported our culture, our politics. People wanted to be Americans. We are losing that so fast.
Oh
When
yeah.
you lose trust, oh my God. I mean, that's how you expand your power. I mean, that's how fucking Rome did it. Everybody was a Roman. America, you come here, you're an American.
That's what
We
built
will,
Rome. Yeah, was that if you're
yeah.
a Roman, you're Roman. You're a citizen.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, religion, whatever you want to do. You were a Roman though, and people were proud of that. And that's how we're extending our power through U.S. aid and through other our military bases. Everyone they want to be around Americans. They want to be like Americans. They want to be us. And it was good. And that's how you do things. Now Trump's like isolating us. We don't need
Like
them.
an abusive boyfriend.
Yeah. And it's like, and everybody's so happy about it. It's like I think, and this is the good thing. I think American. I think we do need some suffering, honestly, which is a horrible thing to say, because we've been so spoiled for so long with nothing going wrong to us that we don't need things. We haven't had big outbreaks of viruses and things that vaccines have helped us with. So now we don't think we need them, but they're not natural. It's like,
Oh, you're
how
talking about like
stupid are you?
measles and all those like whooping cough outbreaks that we're having because people are like, well, we don't need a vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't experienced a world. Most of us have never experienced a world where the rest of the world doesn't love Americans. And so now we're like, what do we need these fucking losers for? And it's like, we need them and they need us. That's the trick. But if we isolate ourselves and the rest of the world hates us, now we're the ones in trouble. It's like the world was good because we were doing things. We got too fucking big for our britches though, as Americans in general. And I think Donald Trump is just the epitome of that. Of, oh, I'm so much better than you. He is America's like soul at the moment, where it's just ugly and fucking dirty, yeah, and mean spirited at the moment. It's like that's not who we are. That's not who I want to be.
That's not what I was promised when I was told all are welcome. Give me your hungry and huddled masses. That's the American I grew up with.
It's the hard part. If you're telling me, hey, your taxes, hey, you pay taxes, and we feed people, and we make sure diseases don't spread in other foreign countries, and we're going to take a little bit of money to do that. I said, yeah, good, let's do that. I love those. I don't want people over there being hurt. And some people hear that and they're like, what? How dare we? And it's like, how about we tax billionaires? Well, we can't tax them. Okay. And like, hey, we're gonna take
they'll leave. They'll leave me. I can't handle that.
We're gonna take your money. We're gonna feed school children. We're gonna take some of your money. We're gonna subsidize farmers so they keep feeding us.
Children should be hungry.
Yeah, it's like wait, no, I want my money to go to these things. We're Americans, baby. If you fell down, I'll pick you up. I'll help you.
Did you hear with Florida, since they don't have the migrants coming through doing all their farming, DeSantis is doing a emergency order to allow children like as young as 14 to work overnights on school days to basically like taking away like all child protective like work laws.
I hate that so much,
which all that means is like, oh no, we got rid of our exploited class. Time to get a new one. Not let's change what has made this the exploited class. Just that we need an exploited class. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we're going so heavy into AI and automation is just so that we can have slavery without the moral consequences of slavery.
We need an exploited class. I'm gonna exploit somebody, goddammit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Like, what? Come on, man. You don't need to exploit nobody.
Come on.
Can't we all just get along?
We have enough for everybody. Yeah, but if everybody has what I have, then I'm not better than them. Then how can I prove that I'm good? How can I prove that I have value if I don't have more value than my neighbor? And that's a base human instinct. Or at least that's what I've come to understand from my observations of life. I know there's other cultures where that's not the case at all. So maybe that's a learned trait.
It is. It's absolutely a learned trait. I mean, in the Potlatch Fund, I mean, they partied like hobbits over in Washington, the tribes over there. What they would do is their leaders would just on their just like a hobbits on their birthday would give out gifts. That's what they give out. They give out things to show their wealth. They'd be like, hey, I did so well this year. I got so many things. I was such a good hunter. I'm gonna give everybody stuff to show you how much I had. And people were like, wow, he did do well this year. Right. This cat is wrestling.
1 second.
Cat fight.
Sorry about that. Bagheera was being extremely annoying there.
Yeah. But I was just saying, anyways, it's rich people. I wouldn't mind if they were so rich and they showed us by dunking on us.
Yeah,
Being
that'd
like,
be
hey,
fine. Building stuff like they should.
well, giving away bonuses and money. I mean, they said that's Potlatch Fund was. They're like, hey, I'm so wealthy, I'm gonna give you stuff.
Like
Here's
when
this
Elon
book.
Musk said that he could solve all world hunger for 40 billion and then he used that to buy Twitter.
Yeah,
Remember that?
I do. He's a coward. He's like, well, they won't use it well. That's the other thing too that pisses me off is there is government like misuse of funds, but not by and large. Like if there was as much as people think there is in their head, the U.S. government would crumble. So much of these funds
Quickly.
are being spent where they're meant to be. Like there is obviously overspending and corruption in places, 100%. But if it was like the 90%, everyone's like, well, if you just give them money, they're gonna just spend it on this anyways. It's like, is that how you think it works? You think when we pay taxes, they don't actually fix roads and shit? It does get done. It's just a lot. There's a lot to do.
When they're
You're
like,
stupid.
oh, I can't believe you're paying that sign holder $25 an hour. It's like, well, he's part of a union. So
Yeah.
that's the power of a union. Maybe you should get a union. And they're like, what? No.
Also, $25 hours isn't that much these days. We need more.
You're right. I agree.
We should all be making like 35 at least. I mean, honestly.
Or just have hey, you know what? We've had so much inflation. Let's have a little deflation. Let's just give a year of deflation or two. That'd be fine. I'm fine with that. Let's give the power of the dollar back. Because deflation means that the cost of things cost less. Oh,
Deflation.
it causes economic instability. We already have economic instability. Let's make it so that our dollar actually gains value instead of loses value. How about that?
I am gonna I do want to give you a book if you would read it though.
Maybe.
Maybe it is called that book called The Accidental Superpower. I think I've told you about it before.
Oh, how we have the perfect geography for everything.
Yeah, everything kind of found in place. So there's a guy, he the same guy that wrote that. He actually, it's fucking insane. He talked about this in like 2000, like the beginning of Trump's first term, where he was like, it doesn't really matter in his thought, and a lot of his people, you know, these economists and social scientists and all that, political scientists, they don't think it matters whose your leadership is, obviously, but it doesn't really matter where economics and politics flow is just kind of a thing that happens, ebbs and flows with, you know, people born and what's happening at the time and geography. So in 2012, he thought that eventually in the next decade or so, America would get very, very isolationist and suck into themselves as millennials take over because we have all the buying power and there'll be less need to buy from places like China and stuff. Also, that as that happens, there would be more war around, possibly leading to a world war. It's insanity, and I don't like doing those kind of conspiracy theory things. But this is something, you know, like I said, he was talking about. He gave a lecture on it in 2012, but that was his thought process, and a lot of people's thought process is that America eventually would have to get more isolationist. I don't remember exactly why, because it was kind of confusing at the time. And he's talking about the economics of it all. That this was the end thing all the time. And I haven't re-looked him up yet to see if he's still talking like about that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, very interesting guy. They said it's not just him; it's a bunch of, you know, those kind of people.
And I will say one thing: the CIA has done such a good job of anyone just pointing out patterns. That's a conspiracy. When a lot of the times they're true, they're actionable events that you can see taking place. Like not everything that's like, oh, multiple things happened at once, so it must be connected. That's not always a conspiracy. Sometimes they're fucking connected. Like sometimes there's reasons these things are happening and people planned them. Oh,
yeah, like, you know what?
Conspiracy theory.
That is the hard part, though, is people do call things conspiracy theories, but like Project 2025, right? They wrote what they wanted to do and said, hey, this is what we want. I'm like, you guys are conspiracy theorists. Like, they wrote it down.
And now they're doing it. And people are like, what?
At what point is it not a conspiracy theory if they're just doing the stuff they said they're going to do? They planned it pretty well. Like, I don't know, man.
It's working for them, too.
It's working. I mean, and there needs to be people that plan the opposite. I mean, right now there are more political groups that are getting more and more funding to to fund like more local leadership and stuff. Because that's what that like if you look at a lot of your local, like I bet you Albany, their city council has a lot of Mormons and shit in their city council. Mormons are very, very good at getting on those little like education boards.
Well, because they understand
like
power starts at the grassroots.
Yeah, and they're hey, this tax code over here is all of a sudden beneficial to us. Who voted on that? I wonder. There's fucking 5 people and 2 of them were Mormons. They're like, yeah. So there are a lot of now grassroots things where people are willing to donate money to support. Like, hey, I want to run for this seat. I think I can win it. And they interview you and shit like that. And then they're like, all right, we'll back you. Now here's this, and we're gonna tell you how to do it. And sometimes they're monetary, funds and stuff like that. And so I'm hoping that spreads more, gives people the courage to be like, you know what, this is my community, and I'm going to run for this. Otherwise, this guy's running unopposed. Fuck you,
Honestly, I'm so surprised we haven't seen more like full-on actionable, like just no-name people being like, I'm going to run for president. If Trump can run for president and this is what he's doing, I can do as good, if not better job.
Dude, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, like actual Nazis and shit, are running for seats. I'm like, all right.
Can we have anybody else?
Yeah, I didn't have a college degree, so I'm like, I didn't think I was fit, but I'm like, I think I can do this. At least I had to listen to smart people. I'm like,
hey, bud, that's bigger than most at this point. That's bigger than most.
Yeah, that would be my first thing. Is like, hey, how are we gonna fix the economy? Like, let's get the world-renowned economists in the room, and we're gonna talk about this. Want to get some that are Republican, some that are Democrat, whatever. And then people give ideas, and we're like, all right, let's spitball, guys. And we're not going to leave till we figure this out.
Yeah.
And
then guess what? Let's try it for a year. If it's not working, why? Let's go back to the drawing board and let's retry. Like that's something that people get very mad about science, is that science is about testing, observing, and then testing again. Yeah. And you continue to do that until you come up with a solution that's good enough for now. And then you keep testing until you find a better solution.
Because people in those positions, whether it's economics or whatever sciences, they do argue about whether these things will work. Because some of them are theoretical. Because like for economics, like you can't like America is different than fucking Spain or wherever Eastern Bloc countries. So you like, hey, this worked over here. It's like the only way to figure out if this will work in America is to fucking try it. That's all we can do.
Well, and that's one of the things that I thought America was going to be so good about responding to. Like COVID with, because we have 50 states. Every state was trying their own like individual thing. I really truly thought we would as a country go, all right, so what states did what and what states have the lowest transmission rates? Let's do what they're doing. But that's not what happened. We had the states who did nothing, had the highest transition rates, and say, you should do what I'm doing. And then the states who had the lowest transition rates went, that seems like a bad idea. You have the highest ones. And they went, you're evil. You're with the devil. And I was like, what's happening? Don't we observe, test, implement? Like, isn't that the whole process? Isn't that the whole thought process?
That is another worry of mine, is we're going to have a great brain drain from America. Is so many people that are thinking are going to leave because there's no point anymore. It's like, I can't fight your fucking firm belief that you're right with these facts. Like that are like, hey man, these are like I'm telling you 2 + 2 is 4, and you're like, fuck you. And you're like, I can't fight that. There's no argument against fuck you.
You're like, telling me fuck you. You're like, you're not even doing math. You're throwing fists. I'm trying to teach you.
And that's like, there's no point in like learning things and doing science and be like, guys, that's not how that works. And they're going, idiot. They're like, oh, all right. Well.
And then you get the people who are just smart enough to use like stats and statistics against you, right? And then you can go, yeah, but stats and statistics can be modified based on how you present them. So if you're presenting them biasly, they're going to skew one way or another. And then they immediately turn around and then go, then what about your statistics? They must be biased too. And you're like, they might be, but they probably aren't.
Oh yeah, I hear that argument all the time. Is that like you guys blindly follow God, it's religion? You're like, well, you guys blindly follow science. You're like, what?
What? Blindly follow science?
Yeah, because that's always the thought. It's like, okay, well, someone wrote these words years ago and they said they're the word of
And you
God.
trust them.
Someone wrote these words years ago and says this is physics. I'm like, yeah, but we can prove one of these. Let's go do a fucking science experiment. You ever taken classes in like school? Like we do science experiments all the time.
You're like, all right, I'll drop a brick from 10 meters high and we'll count how long it goes to reach the ground. We'll do that 1,000 times. You go pray over, I don't know, a plant 1,000 times and see if we have actionable change.
Yeah.
You don't? Okay, well, we could test mine way easier.
Yeah, these are different things. If I proved that something was wrong from like fucking 1,500 years ago that we've been using, I would win a prize. They would like, whoa, we were wrong.
And you know what? You would probably solve issues that they've been having with it.
Yeah, it would be helpful. But if you're like, hey, this is wrong, everyone's like, you fucking devil, how dare you?
One of my favorite parts about religion too is they're like, how can you not believe in my God? And you're like, oh, how can you not believe in my God? And they're like, well, your God's fake. And you go, so it's like that. So it's like what you just did. But they're like, no, but my God's real. And you go, okay, but what about my God? They're like, that's the wrong one though. How can you know? How can you believe that the book that you read is the right book? I've got 10 other books that say they're also the right book.
Just arrogance again. And you can have blind faith in some things, but not others. Like I have blind faith that in my lifetime the Trailblazers will win a championship. I still do to this.
You're wrong, but okay.
It could be wrong, but I'll hear nothing against it. I don't care. Fuck everybody. And that's okay because it's for fun. And if you want to believe that, hey, God is real and doing things, that's fine. But if I have blind faith that the Trailblazers will win a championship one day, but only if everybody wears a fucking jersey every day and I make it mandatory, if you don't, I will fucking kill you. All of a sudden, it's no longer fun. This is not.
This isn't a joke. This is a big problem. And and when the when the Trailblazers keep not winning, you're gonna get more and more draconian. It has to work. It has to work.
Obviously, it's not my fault, and this isn't fake. You guys, you're fucking this up. It's trans people.
It always comes back to trans people and immigrants. There we go.
God, they're keeping us from winning championships.
All right, this has been a good one.
All right,
I've enjoyed this one a lot.
That was fun.
Oh,
a good time. Your hair looks great.
Oh my god, my hair looks crazy right now. I look I look like a madman when I don't have my headphones on.
You look like with your headphones on because it poofs this way. You look like an anime character. You know what I'm saying? Because you have like the headband thing on, but it poofs. So you look like if we were in an anime together, you'd be the main character.
Oh,
like, wow,
thank you. I have a defined silhouette.
You're like, that guy's obviously stories about him.
You know what? Even like this. Yeah, this also works.
Yeah, main character.
It's very anime.
Like, yep. I was a background guy in this version.
There we go. There's my silhouette that you can tell from 1,000 miles away.
We'll tell exactly who you are immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there he is. That's the crazy one.
All
right. So to wrap everything up, America's doing great. No problems whatsoever. To make that true, all we have to do is tax the rich, provide healthcare and education for the people, focus on our environment, and expand our national parks. Well, we're doing all the opposite of that. So I hope we end up well.
Side note, I've written a few more chapters of the book. I do need to